Hello.
Grim, you cheated at cards again. You're hiding the cards in the folds of your neck and all the fur on your neck. I just saw you stuff a card in your hair.
I just noticed that. Hey,
this fucking guy was helping you, wasn't he?
What?
This Nuisha who keeps popping up. Let's see.
I'm currently in the parking lot right now. I'm not sure how well this will work.
Studio. Let's see.
Take your time, buddy.
You find a McDonald's or Tim Hortons and you use their internet.
I'm in the car with my dad right now. He's
literally phoning it in.
Take your time, buddy. God. It is all good. We got a lot of...
Okay, we can just do the episode there.
We got a lot
I have some...
Look, we got a lot of history to get through. You take your time, bro.
All right, Grim, you put those cards away. We actually don't have that much history. We've got conspiracy theories your way. The Gangrel.
Yes.
This is an episode that I have been putting off for a while. This was going to be something along the lines of, say, episode 11. And I did Lost Sombra episode because I just want to play around for the Lost Sombra episode. I wanted to do something funny.
It was Halloween.
And with the Gangrel. Now, we talked about the Nosferatu, and there was very little history involving the Nosferatu. There's even less history for the Gangrel. I will look at some other World of Darkness YouTubers. The Primogen makes decent content. I'll look at his video for the Gangrel, and I'll use his vampire videos as benchmarks for what am I missing, what do I need to include, what is he leaving out in his video. And I saw what he did with the Gangrel. I said, there's no way there's only that much content with the Gangrel. And I pulled up both their tribe books, read through both of them, and said, oh, there actually is that little content between the two books.
What's weird is that, like...
You gotta be...
Good.
You gotta be creative with it, you know? You have to try and, like, see where you can go with it, you know? And, like, you've been adding things like, you know, seeing what the powers are, what the disciplines are, and just,
from a mechanical sense, they're interesting. Because Protean is one of those powers that has many, many applications. And there is no situation where Protean just isn't a good power to have. Besides diplomacy. But looking at their history, the Gangrel just want to be left alone. And because of that, there's not really anything that they do. They just exist. What the Gangrel want to do is that they want to go off into nature and just be in nature as the super predator or the ranger, and that's it really. That's all the Gangrel want to do. But you do have a lot of exceptions, namely with the dude who might as well be the main character of Vampire the Masquerade, Beckett. You remember him, right?
Not really, no, actually. I do not.
Kyle, you have a copy of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. You have yet to play the game.
Yes.
And... see, let me go ahead and post this picture.
Mostly because I just have not had fucking time.
This dude.
He looks like the postal dude's long-haired cousin.
He looks like Alucard from Helsing.
He kind of does. His eyes are really freaky.
Because, well, he
looks
Gangrel.
oddly familiar.
It's Eyes of the Beast is what that is.
Yeah, and this guy might as well be the main character of Vampire the Masquerade because so many books directly involve him. In fact, like the entirety of like the Book of Nod plotline and the Jihad sub plotline, chronicling Gehenna, that's all him. All of it is Cuthbert Beckett. And he has Lucita, the Lasombra, as his sidekick, and Anatole the Malkavian until he died a horrible death jumping into the body of Zamichi. So if you have a vampire anything going on, Beckett is in every game. You just don't see him. He's off to the side recording your entire chronicle.
Yep. So what you're telling me is that Colt is the main character. Got ya. Nice.
See.
Because
the Gangrel, once again, a Gangrel could be anybody, but you ultimately do the same thing because every Gangrel wants to get away from the city and go out into the country. Now, there is some other stuff here in terms of flavor text, where culturally, they have some interesting stuff. But I gotta get mad at you, World Darkness players, for a minute, because everybody that plays Gangrel, you're not playing it because of Ennoia, you're not playing it because of their connection with Lilith, you're not doing it because of the history with the Ravnos, or their presence in Africa and Asia, the Bloodlines, for the sake of playing the Bloodlines in their history, the history with Odin, anything involving that. You're playing it because you're a furry, and you just want to be the furry vampire. That's the only reason you're playing as the Gangrel.
You don't gonna hurt my feelings, bro.
I ain't gonna hurt you, I'm just gonna hurt your feelings.
That's the only thing to hurt.
That's true.
There's a lot of interesting stuff with the Gangrel, but nobody really cares about actually playing the Gangrel. Now, Kyle, you were brand new to Vampire. I can't get mad at you for that.
I really was, but the more that I read about the Gangrel today, the more that I realised now this is actually the perfect thing for Cult to be. Because he doesn't wouldn't be fucking part of this.
Because for everyone listening at home, the Gangrel were that was Kyle's first vampire that he played as.
Yes, that is why Cult is a Gangrel in the Red Cross New York subplot.
He
where they
took
go.
our favorite cum sleeve character, Colt Mason, and he turned him from a D&D character into a vampire character.
I'm gonna fucking stab you.
Colt was a cum lord, wasn't he?
I was fucking not. I had a wife, goddammit. A wife and a son.
You used to be, and then you sold down.
I'm messing.
By the way, or was it?
Yeah, everybody cut out for a second there. Give me a sec. Okay. Lovely. We're just getting into this, and my internet decides to screw itself. Give me 1 sec, fellas. I gotta reopen.
Say that Beckett is the main character, but he's definitely the narrator of Vampire the Masquerade.
See,
yeah,
it takes place from his point of view.
Yeah, and secondly, no, that's not why I play Gangrels at all. It's not because I'm having furry.
See, well, I beg to differ, because isn't Werewolf your favorite game?
Yes, but that's not why I played Gangrel. The reason why I played, in fact, even before I actually played the Werewolf, I actually chose Gangrel just simply because they said F you to politics, and they just wanted to do their own thing.
The reverse Bruja, right?
Well, they're the Bruja done right, I think.
And every Bruja has TDS. That's the thing with them.
Touchdown syndrome?
Yep, they have exactly that.
I don't know what TDS is.
Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah. See, the minute his name is mentioned, you ball your hands and you shake them in the air and you start crying angry tears.
Unless you're Ragnar, and then you bring up Alexander Hamilton.
See,
they're revolutionary sensitive.
See, I love it, Hamilton. We also got a bunch of lore characters to talk about, so we got some shit to talk about with the Gangrel. Not so much in terms of history, but let's get right into it.
Yes.
See, we can stop playing this song now. Alright. We begin the story with the most interesting of all the Gangrel, the character I really want to talk about, Ennoia. You remember the story of Adam and Eve, right?
Yeah.
Now, before we had Eve, we had Lilith, where, as the story goes, God reaches down, makes man, he made Adam, and then, this man needs a wife in order to procreate, so he made Lilith out of raw material. And the story is kept ambiguous. For whatever reason, Lilith had issues with Adam. And the reason why is never really explained. I've never really been a fan of the Lilith myth. I've never been somebody who likes the story. But Adam goes to God and complains Lilith is not doing anything I ask her to. She's not being cooperative. Every single interaction we have is a confrontation. So God bans her from the Garden of Eden. She goes off and she ends up being the mother of all of demonkind, as the story goes. I don't really care about this. It's not as interesting as Adam and Eve, because Adam and Eve, I kind of have to take a step back to explain it.
What's that?
The reason why I like that myth is that Eve being born from Adam from the spare rib. It's that the unity between man and woman, like sexual intercourse between a man and a woman, that's two becoming one. You've heard that expression before when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
And in doing so, man and woman bonding like that is the return to the original hermaphroditic being that was Adam, back in the time of the Garden of Eden. So there's this ritualistic and symbolic unity between that makes me really like the story of Adam and Eve. And the story of Adam and Lilith, I just don't see the point of it existing. I guess that's why you never hear about this in church. I mean, the Catholics said it out a lot of stuff that was kind of important, but this is one of those things that I guess this did deserve to be on the cutting room table, along with the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Judas.
I mean, you gotta give scary bedtime stories to scary kids somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Stop being a bad wife. We're going to get banned from the garden. We continue.
To the kitchen, or she'll eat your children. Right.
Now, for Ennoia, what I really like about her, we never see her face in any material that she's depicted in. We get like side views, but her face is constantly cast in shadow. This is really low resolution for the thumbnail image, but I can't send you the full clan book picture because her tits are hanging out in it.
So, she is extra thick. Extra.
So you can't send it to Colt, but you can send it to the rest of us.
See, we can send to we can't put up on the screen.
Yeah, that's fine.
So
we'll he'll send us the picture in the studio notes, and we'll just all talk about how great Ennoia's tits are.
Yeah, really zoom in on that. Just really zoom in on that. I really like this touch because it's this whole boogeyman kind of aspect with Ennoia, where you never really know what she looks like, and that's always super spooky about her.
She
go
ahead.
Yeah, maybe she looks like Absimilliard. Maybe she looks like Arakil. I mean, she might out-beauty Arakil. I'm imagining Ennoia and Arakil just standing face to face, just staring at each other now.
Yeah, basically. Or it's like that scene from like Oh Brother Where Art Thou, where they're all having a picnic, and oh god, what was his name?
John Goodman.
Oh, not Pete. Not Everett.
You're thinking about something. Stinky Pete?
No. I'm trying to remember all their names.
Who did George Clooney?
No, not George Clooney. That was Everett. I'm thinking about, this ain't no laughing matter, Everett.
Yeah, that was John Goodman's character.
No. John Goodman was, he was Big Dan T.
This is going in the box of bits that go nowhere.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something, but no, I can't. I lost it because I couldn't remember the name of the character. So
you had your first dementia moment.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
The reason why I brought up Lilith with Ennoia is that Ennoia is Lilith's child.
Yeah, and then just get up.
Yeah, born from Lilith. Now, Lilith, as we know in vampire lore, is a different kind of vampire than Cain. She is a very, very unique vampire, where you can't really categorize her as a Cainite.
Yeah, that was
one
thing I noticed. Oh, hang on. Yeah, he's talking, I think, to somebody else in the car.
It's the schizophrenia, don't worry about it. She's not a Cainite. She's nothing near a Kuei-jin. I think what is her clan name? I think it's the Bahari is her name. No, that's not her clan. She has a unique clan all to herself. That's the important thing. I think it is the Bahari, but I'm not confident in saying that.
I have not heard anything about it.
But yeah, Lilith is the mother of Ennoia. And here's the thing. Is Ennoia a second generation who was embraced by Lilith and is a completely different vampire sect than the vampires of Cain? Maybe? We're not given anything definitive on that. But in first edition, we're told that Ennoia was embraced by Enoch. We're explicitly told that, that was her sire in first edition. And as we know, King Enoch also embraced Zimichi, he embraced Salat, and Malkav, and more than likely Arakel. Let's see.
Oh, which way do you?
Let's see. Dance, I'm going to put you on mute for a few minutes. Okay. Now, the thing is, with the first city, you had Arakel living amongst the common man, where, yeah, she was this very pretty woman back in early times, where, you know, you see a woman, you gotta mate with her if you want to survive as a species. Apparently, Ennoia was a little bit too much of a polygamist, resulting in her marrying too many people, resulting in all these men fighting over her. So Ennoia said, I'll just remove myself from the equation. She got up and she left. You know, I see that I'm the problem. You're fighting over me. I'll just remove myself from the equation.
If it works, it works. You know,
which resulted in her going off in the wilderness, and she's perfectly okay here. You want to know why she's okay with it? It's because Lilith didn't raise her. The Garou did. Oh yeah, that's right. We get an explicit werewolf connection involved with this. Danston, you got any idea on the werewolf connection? No? Alright. Now, funny thing about that. We have in the Fianna Tribe book that whole story with the lone Garou howling at the moon, and he had the best sex of his life after a certain maiden heard the song and came over and mated with him and essentially started the Fianna Tribe. I wanted to immediately say that was Ennoia, but no. This whole deal with the first city, that was in the Middle East and the Middle East only. There was no way Ennoia could have gotten over to Ireland. The Fianna story is completely in its own bubble, only ever being interacted with the White Howlers and the Fenris. Which leads me to wonder, who was the tribe that raised Ennoia? You got any ideas?
I'm thinking it might have been like, I don't know. The Silent Striders were pretty localized to Egypt and just Egypt at the time.
It's not the Black Furies. It's not the Black Furies because it was stated in that wolf pack there were men in that wolf pack.
This was in Babylon, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That leads me to wonder either Glasswalkers or Children of Gaia. One of those two.
Well, the Children of Gaia were Greek as well. They were neighbors of the Black Furies.
Yeah, and looking at any other tribe that could have existed in this area, absolutely not with the Red Talons. No. That would not have happened.
Only two I can think of that early in human development. It would have been either Shadow Lords or Silver Fangs. I think it'd be one or the other.
It probably, more than likely, would be Shadow Lords. Silver Fangs were wolf supremacists that wanted to see humanity destroyed.
Yeah, so more than likely, if anybody would have done it, it would have been the Shadow Lords.
Background noise. Now I'm going down the line. I'm going to say more than likely it was the Proto-Children of Gaia first. I'm going to say Silent Striders are going to be like fourth on the list. Glasswalkers, like the Warriors of Men, probably number 2. Shadow Lords number 3. In terms of who it could have been, I think it was the very, very early Children of Gaia. That's going to be my theory.
Okay.
And that kind of plays into something with Lupine's later down the road, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Ennoia just stayed out in the wilderness, and that's really all she did. When she came back to the first city, she found out that the second generation was already dead, and her reaction was to shrug my shoulders. I mean, it doesn't really concern her. She looks over, and I'm imagining like a stewing Hakim, pissed off that the second generation is dead. She just walks up to him and says, "Hey, what's going on here? The second generation dead?" "Yeah." Okay, it seems that everybody's leaving the city. Where did that guy Zimichi go? Oh, he went up north? Okay, good. Thank you for telling me that. I will not go in that direction. Where did that Sawlot guy go off to? Asia? Oh, cool. And then she picks up and heads off to Asia. And she embraces a few people as she goes by. One of them being Enkidu. You remember us talking about Enkidu briefly during the Children of Gaia episode?
Very, very briefly.
With the Epic of Gilgamesh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
See, now the thing is, I don't necessarily have. This is a weird image. This is. Yeah, so this is what he looks like.
Oh, he's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what happens when you use Protean a few too many times.
Sign me up.
Good fucking lord. I really am cursed, aren't I?
Now,
That can
you
rival
remember...
Nosferatu.
He probably could. He looks like... I was sworn to swap in Clan Zamichi upon looking at him. But I guess not. So, the story behind Enkidu is that with the Epic of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh was this proud, arrogant king who met Enkidu, a man who had nothing out in the wilderness. And Enkidu came in, challenged Gilgamesh, and constantly was his devil advocate, constantly pestering and antagonizing Gilgamesh, opposing everything he did. And eventually it balanced out Gilgamesh as a person, where Gilgamesh toned himself down and became a better king. Enkidu died, but then came back to Gilgamesh as a vampire, and then offered the same thing to Gilgamesh, saying, do you want to live forever? Do you want to be this wise king for all eternity? Let me embrace you, or let me take you to the woman who embraced me, and you can be that king forever. Now, Gilgamesh refused, because he was approached by the children of Gaia, who turned him away from the embrace, informing him what the embrace would entail. So Enkidu instead turns his attention back to, well, at greater evil hand, the Setites. You see, the thing is, when you're raised by werewolves, they teach you who the worm is. Ennoia knows the worm, dude. She knows what the worm is. She knows that a Pep, the guy that, the snake guy that Set fought, that wasn't just a snake out the abyss. That was the worm that he fought. She knows that. And she recognizes that, oh, these guys are getting their powers from demons in the worm, Zamichi, Absimilliard, and Set. That's the enemy. Those are the three most dangerous people on the planet. So she embraced Enkidu specifically for the purpose of fighting the worm and his worm beasts. Imagine that. That's your ally.
Based, Ennoia is based. No, this Gangrel thing might not be all terrible.
See, and what Enkidu does is that he's going around capturing all the different monsters that are on the world, on the planet, that nobody can handle. He is the monster that hunts other monsters and jails them. This includes the Typhonic Beast, this giant abominable monster made by the Setites, that he has kept imprisoned. Now the thing is, Enkidu is on the Camarilla Red list, as in their version of the top 10 most wanted. Find Enkidu and kill him if you get the chance. The reason why is that Enkidu's been blood bonding all the creatures he's been capturing, but not with his blood. He's been abducting other vampires and using them to drug up these monsters into submission. So,
on this episode,
yeah,
monsters.
In the same fashion as the Salubri, the good vampires always have that one big drawback, that one massive drawback that prevents them from being genuinely good people. That's his. It doesn't matter how good of a vampire you are, he's going to abduct you and he will use you. And the thing is, should those beasts turn on him and attack him, I'm glad you thought of that, because no, he kills the vampires he harvests the blood from.
The next one.
Yeah.
Not this one, the next one.
See, you speaking, Dan?
He is talking about the thing.
See, you still me a Dan, I'm going to meet you in about 30 minutes. Give him some time to get home.
Yep.
All right. He really wants to be a part of this episode, which is why he's here.
Yeah.
Because the Gangrel is his favorite clan. And let's pin the other name Gangrel for a minute. So what exactly is Ennoia doing in Asia? Well, she walks all the way over, and do you remember the Ravnos episode?
Yeah, they're over there, just kind of chilling. Fighting the Kuei.
Now you remember, for a while, she partners up with Ravnos himself. She sees the Kuei Jin, and she recognizes that's the worm. And so she aids Ravnos in his fight against the Kuei Jin. And that's a force to be reckoned with. You got the vampire that can just take hit after hit with the Gangrel and just not die, versus the vampire that can do almost anything with chemistry. And for a while, it's a lethal force. Nothing can top Ennoia and Ravnos working together, and they push the Kuei Jin out of India, all the way to China. But the thing is, their relationship doesn't last forever. It's said that they have a falling out because Ravnos ended up smiting and killing some of her Gangrel. But I think what happened is that a couple of Gangrel were just danger close to an holy airstrike that Ravnos summoned from the sky. That's why they died.
I mean, yeah, so it was just collateral damage, really. It's not really anybody's fault.
Yeah, because Ennoia doesn't harbor any animosity towards the Ravnos at all. She's perfectly cool and perfectly okay with the Ravnos. And as for the relationship between the Gangrel and the Ravnos, they still have a good relationship. Now, if their falling out was all Ravnos' fault, shouldn't there be a grudge? No, there's no grudge. In the book, in first and second edition, it is stated that the Gangrel do not fuck with the Roma or the Gypsies. They will never bother them. If there is a Gypsy settlement, they will not feast on it. They will not bother them. They will never antagonize them. That's the thing. It's Ravnos' people, right? The blood knows who you're talking to.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's a fun thing to be. If you have a player in your chronicle who's playing as Ravnos, please play as a Gangrel and have fun interacting with them.
Yes.
In regards to that ancient history. And does Ennoia encounter Salat out in the wilderness? No. She misses him. We could have had a fun story with that, but nope, the writers just didn't want that to happen.
Ah, well. She tried.
We can't have the unity between the Salubri, the Ravnos, and the Gangrel. That would just be a little bit too strong.
Just a little bit.
I mean,
can you imagine a faction that would be those three?
Honestly, they would out Camarilla the Camarilla. But granted, those three would honestly be like a decently good pact between the three. Like they would actually be decent people.
The three virtuous vampires, pretty much.
Yeah, because like from what I've read of all three of them is that like the Ravnos, yeah, they like, they're tricksters and they're thieves. That just, that's something they do. But they're not necessarily evil. And we've already talked about this in the Salubri episode, is that they are miracle workers. They're healers. Even though there's been some conflict over whether or not Salat was actually a good person the whole time. Or now he's
it does come out twice.
Yeah, exactly.
With the blood.
But Ennoia, knowing the knowledge of the worm and the evil that it entails, being able to, rally the focus of the Ravnos and the true good of the Salubri, honestly, them with the Garrow would have ended the war with the worm overnight.
That would be some good unity. And if the Gangrel vouched for the Ravnos and the Salubri, then I still think the Shellords would still try to kiss up to the Ventru. But behold, you got 3 vampires on your side. Boom. Done. That's all you really need.
I think this arrangement could work rather well.
It'd be so nice to have those on your side. Now, if you want to stop reading the history segment in these books, there's pretty much nothing left in terms of history.
We all chilled out in the woods, and that was about it.
But what we get instead is that it's excerpts of what were the Gangrel doing when this happened. And Carthage and Rome. Let's talk about that. You remember who was on whose side, right? Where Carthage was the Bruja and Bali versus the Roman Ventru, Toreador, Malkavians, and the Nosferatu were there, but they kept their heads down. Now, the Gangrel were approached and asked, hey, you want to join Rome? No, who's in it? Oh, well, we've got the Ventru, okay. We've got the Toreador, okay. We've got the Malkavians. Nope, they immediately get up from the table, turn around, leave.
Yep, fuck that, we're out of here.
They're not dealing with that.
Well, Gangrel only have so much patience for stupid bullshit. And the Malkavians are just walking piles of stupid bullshit.
Yeah. See, I assume if Lieutenant Sec was here, he'd probably make some sort of like the Malkavians being a stand-in for like autistic vampires analogy, where I guess the Malkavians are like the extremely social autistic, while the Gangrel are the antisocial ones. The kind of kid that's in your class that just never talks.
Yep. Versus the kid that won't shut the hell up and his teacher yells at him all the time.
Yeah, that's the difference between the two. You're what?
Well, I was that kid.
Which one?
The one that never shut up.
Yeah. There we go. I was super fucking shy when I was a kid, compared to how much I talk now.
I was shy when I was in elementary school because I got bullied a lot, but then I learned how to be funny in high school, and then everybody wanted to hear me. So,
yeah, you became funny. I just became nihilistic.
Take the funny pill, Anons. Take the funny pill.
Yeah. I feel so much better as a young adult now.
Yeah, because
now all that chemical bullshit in your brain stops.
Yep. Anyway,
and let's see what happens next. Let's talk about Charlemagne. Nothing happens.
Yeah, he goes around through Francia, and he fights some people to bring all of the local lordships under his sway. And and then the emperor the pope invites him down for dinner and makes him emperor.
Let's see, and then what happens next? The Tremere. The Gangrel really don't like the Tremere. You want to know why?
Because they do experiments on us?
Well, besides nobody likes the Tremere, even the Tremere hate the Tremere. It's because, you remember when we were talking about the Tremere, they were abducting vampires to turn into gargoyles? The Gangrel were one of those vampires.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great way to start your relationship in the Camarilla.
They're thinking, oh, there's all these weirdos walking out in the woods turning into animals. What if I took one and then ripped out all of his organs and made him a drone that wanders around my chantry?
I believe Danson.
Hello, Danson.
I believe Danson is home.
Hey,
now.
how's it going? Sorry,
it's because
that.
You good?
It's because the Tremere were fishing for fortitude. So if they found the Harbingers, it would have been a different story. But nope, the Gangrel just happened to bite the bullet, and you get this very weird period of history where there's this very tense alliance between the Gangrel and the Zimichi. Neither of them like each other, but they both hate the Tremere so strongly that they're willing to work with each other to fight the Tremere.
What's up, Danson?
Everybody hates the fucking Tremere.
Well, yes, because they fucking suck.
Yeah,
There's a reason.
The Tremere ever contributed.
I am very glad that Nozmi Yama is fucking dead.
He gets to come back in Miami by Night.
I didn't fucking care.
I'm gonna have a hard time for that game picking between him and Devi.
Either way, I mean, like, it'd be funny to see, like, Nozomi Nishiyama at his most, like, dickish in 1980s Miami selling mountains of cocaine.
I'm already playing a bad person with Ends the Road. I can play a bad person again, but in a different way with him.
Yeah, but Ends the Road is like Kratos terrible, like where she's brutally violent, but at the very least fun to watch. Nozomi's just a fucking prick.
He's a bitch at the end of the day.
He really is. He's a fucking coward.
Now, there is something that we can bring up with the Mongol Horde. There is a named character with the Mongol Horde. And this is a name you should know because this guy gets heavily involved in vampire politics. Now, you remember the history of the Mongols, right? That Genghis Khan, when he's the ripe old age of 13, picks up a sword and decides that I'm going to conquer the world.
Yep.
And it's my God-given right to be the king of everything.
Yes.
He became the king of everything, right?
He did.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, this is why we say... Well, the Shellords did have territory in Mongolia, but the way Genghis Khan acted in history, 100% he's a Shellord, in my mind.
It makes sense, yeah. Which is funny. We're going to talk about a bloodline later on in the video that involves a lot of Mongol history.
Okay, good. You guys haven't gotten to Bloodlines. That's great.
Not yet,
yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. Let's see. There is... Why am I fucking blanking on this guy's name?
I think I wrote it down. It was Dobrul the Brave, I think.
See, no, not him.
Okay.
But either way, it's this vampire that gets embraced in the Clan Gangrel. And this guy is fairly old. And see, getting you that name. It is. Give me just 1 second. Aha! There it is. I finally found it. It is one Jalon Ajav. That is his name. That's why I couldn't remember it, because it was something strange like that. Let's see.
Glon.
Let's see. Pull this guy up. There's your page. Finally. There it is. Yeah, so this guy ends up becoming a member of the Black Hand. Let's go ahead and let's copy his picture. Let's see. This is who we're talking about.
Yep. He looks like Rob Zombie.
He really does, doesn't he?
He's even wearing sunglasses. He's got the long hair. That is just Rob Zombie.
Yeah. Now, this was a guy that was just in Genghis Khan's army that hung around and rubbed shoulders with Temujin himself, Genghis Khan, until he eventually got caught and embraced into the Gangrel anti-tribute. And this guy was rubbing shoulders with Lugoj right before he became, well, let me rephrase that. Before the eldest became Lugoj is when this was happening. Lugoj informed Jalon what he was, what the Sabbat was, what the Jihad was, and Jalon was into it. He said, yes, let me be a part of this. And when the Anarch Revolt happened, you bet this guy was neck deep in the rebellion, just going around kicking the ass of anyone who wanted to get in his way. What is it, the Camarilla trying to tell me what to do? Not happening. And this guy's still alive, and he's a member of the Black Hand. This is one of the final bosses of the Sabbat. You want to fight this guy? You are up shit creek without a paddle. You ready for this stat block?
Let's see it.
Yes.
Now keep in mind, no modifiers with Protean yet. Strength 8, Dexterity 7, Stamina 8, Charisma 6, Manipulation 5, Appearance 4, Perception 7, Intelligence 6, Wit 7, Alertness 6, Athletics 5, Brawl 7, Dodge 6, Interrogation 4, Intimidation 6, Animal Kin 4, Demolition 3, Firearms 4, Melee 8, Ride 5.
What the
How's
fuck,
intimidation and
Richard?
interrogation two different things?
With disciplines including, but are not limited to, Animalism, Auspex, Celerity, Dominate, Fortitude, Potence, Presence, and Protean.
My
And this
man's
is a
looked at all the...
serial offending Diabolist you're fighting.
Yeah, this motherfucker saw all the goddamn fucking vampires out there and went Pokemon. I gotta catch them all. Fuck
Right.
from here. This dude right here.
He went Mega Man.
If
defeated all
he
the
were to
Mega
fight
Masters.
Idris, I'd put money on Jalon. I'd
Yes.
say Jalon would win a fight with Idris.
I think he would. He's busted.
Yes. Exactly. He's just like an all-around... He's got no real weaknesses in terms of his stats.
That, and he looks like Rob Zombie.
And that's before he starts using Protean, and he starts boosting his stats with Protean.
And he has no animalistic features.
Exactly. He managed to keep himself under control. This guy's got a cool head.
He does. He looks cool as shit. I want to buy him a beer.
Let it not be said that the Gangrel are idiots. Some of these guys are very deadly psychopaths.
Damn right.
If I see
Jalon being one of them.
if I see this man, I don't care how many people's yell raised. I'm buying him a beer.
There's a sword you can get in the Transylvania Chronicles that just diabolizes a vampire on hit. What if he got his hands on that?
Yeah,
oh,
that's
it'd be
the,
fucking
uh,
over.
Yeah.
Isn't that Dracula's sword or something like that?
It is.
Any
Oh,
vampire?
that's awesome.
Salot's
Yes.
probably
Yep.
hiding it in Dracula's temple in
Yeah.
Romania.
Yeah, upon being stabbed by it, it sucks your soul out and into the sword.
And any vampire, so like any of the
Yes.
antediluvians.
Yes. But
Oh,
good luck
boy.
stabbing Antediluvian with it.
I don't
Then how do you
know.
get the
Give
soul out
that
of the
to
sword?
fucking...
But how do you get the soul out of the sword, though? It's kind of stuck in there.
Well, what you gotta do is you gotta suck it out like it's Gogurt tube.
We
It goes
should...
to
There's a
Hilt.
straw.
Look, I have got a grand, terrible idea.
It goes to a hilt and you drink it out like a flask.
I say we go to Romania, we find the sword, and we give it to Vigo.
Well, let's give him even more power while we're at it.
I think it'd be funny.
It'll be fine.
What happens next? The Convention of Thorns. Let's talk about the Convention of Thorns.
Yep.
Okay. The Gangrel were not immediately considered to be a part of the Camarilla. Is that they were an afterthought, and really the only reason they're part of the Camarilla is because of convenience. It's just good to have the Gangrel on your side. There's nothing that's hindering you in a relationship with them. There's no downside to it. These guys just want to be left alone. They've got havens out in the woods. If we mess up the masquerade, we can just run off and hide with the Gangrel for a few days. There's no downside to it. So when they came up to the Gangrel and said, "Hey, you want to be a part of it? We're forming something called the Camarilla," the Gangrel said, "Who's in it?" The Ventru, the Toreador, the Malkavians, the Tremere. This sounds a lot like Rome. No, it's different. It's different this time. We got the Bruja and the Nosferatu with us. Oh, if they're part of it, okay, we're fine being part of the Camarilla then. And boom, deal was made.
I mean, they didn't need to even join, but they just joined on a whim, I guess.
They just figured they figured, it's that day of the week, why not?
Top of that, there is the Inquisition hunting after you. So, you've got nothing to lose with signing up with the Camarilla.
Oh, no, I'm going to go back out to my cabin in the woods and stay there for as long as I feel like.
But here's the thing, they can hide very well from the Inquisition, because all they have to do is just sleep on the ground.
Yep.
Just turn to a bird and fly away. That's all you gotta do.
Yep.
Pretty much, this is why I love the Gangrel, is because they are so independent, whereas all the other clans, they need to be social in order to actually survive, whereas the Gangrel, fuck it.
I could just go fuck off into the woods and not worry about it.
This is the Gangrel. He's pretty badass. Look, he doesn't really give a shit, alright?
No, I don't. I wanted to be left the fuck alone, but I couldn't be left the fuck alone.
On our own.
Honestly, Ragnar would have made a better fucking Gangrel.
Let me also point out just how fucking stupid the Losombra were for not getting to the Gangrel first.
Yeah, they are kind of dumb like that.
Dog, you already had them. You already had a link with them, with the Zimichi. The Zimichi worked with the Gangrel. They knew what it was like working with Gangrel. What were the Losombra thinking? What, we just team up with Zimichi and that's all we need?
Who in the hell do you think you are? What were you
just
thinking?
that simple.
They're like, do we want the guys that can shapeshift into animals, be great scouts for us, have havens out in the woods if we need to travel, or a bunch of murderous psychopaths carrying a world-ending super virus?
Here and then the Gangrel do basically nothing for 700 years.
You know what?
They keep their names out of history. They just no. It's not even like the Nosferatu, where the Nosferatu were the unsung hero in just about every event in history. No, the Gangrel just did not get involved in anything at all. They just went about their business, and that was it, really.
And life
but they did get involved in World War II.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of hard to not get involved in that.
Because everybody was involved in World War II.
Yes.
But there's a personal connection. You want to guess why?
Why is that?
Because, I'm guessing because the Nazis were setting all the forests on fire?
No, it's because of the gypsies. That's why. It's that...
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah, the neo-Nazi Tremere and, the Zimichi in general were grabbing Ravnos and dragging them and their herds into the concentration camps. The Gangrel saw that and said, "Nuh-uh, you're not doing that." They hopped in and did everything they could to save the Ravnos from the Holocaust.
I really need to make friends with the Ravnos, I think.
Wait, so they don't hate the Ravnos?
They don't hate the Ravnos. They love the Ravnos.
So how I read it in relationships, just to skip ahead a little bit to clear the air with this. So
yeah.
If a Gangrel actually meets somebody that knows the proper history of vampires, and then are actually told a story where it's like, yeah, there was some collateral damage, but Ennoia and Ravnos have no bad blood, then more than likely they're not going to. If a Ravnos and a Gangrel sort of just happen upon each other, more than likely it's going to get rough. But if both of them know the history of it all, then chances are they'll be on decent terms. but they do not fuck with the Ravnos people.
So basically, only the elders get along, but the neonates don't.
The neonates will fight each other.
It's because the neonate Gangrel are horribly antisocial and inept at being in social situations, and the Ravnos neonates are assholes because they just steal your money and steal your treasure, and then that's it. You never see them again.
See, during that initial phase when I was neonated, I was just, kept in a basement and got the shit kicked out of me for 4 years.
All you neonates are nothing but degenerates at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Why can't you be an elder?
No. Give me like 50 years and shit, I'll get there.
Go find an ecstatic, have him send you back in time, and have you become an elder that way.
Yeah, if I do that, why don't I just, go back to being human?
Let's see. Why would you want to be human?
Remember, I was first into that.
And let's see here, Stalin. They did not get involved in Russia, the Russian Revolution. That was another thing that they just didn't care about.
He was like, "That's the Bruja's fire. We'll let them put it out."
Yeah, they saw the Bruja. They saw them mucking about, and once again they shrugged their shoulders. There was another genocide going on in Russia, but it didn't involve the Ravnos, so they didn't really care.
Yep.
And
people are starving over there. There's no food. Let's go.
Yeah, they'll only get involved in something heroic if it directly affects them or somebody they really like. And the Bruja and Russians were not people that they like. And there is a lot of fluff text in second edition, let me say that.
I mean, like you said, history was kind of hard to piece together for this, so it's not necessarily your fault.
It's like the 1950s, nothing happened. The McCarthy era, nothing happened. The 1960s, nothing happened. I'm like, why is this in the book then?
Because we need to let you know that nothing happened. All this
Why
other
did
shit
you bring up Kitty's?
What?
There's how many paragraphs is this? 6 paragraphs dedicated to Kennedy's assassination. Why is this in the book?
Because we wanted to talk about how little we cared about that.
Okay, well, I'm just going to put second edition away. I'm done reading that book anyway. It feels like some second edition books, just some of them just suck in comparison.
See, go ahead.
The Gangrel second edition and the Toreador second edition, you can skip both of those. You don't need to get either of those.
I will, yeah. Toreador second edition isn't great.
Yeah, Toreador second edition is terrible. Oh my god.
Yep. But
same with the Ravnos book, and same with the Giovanni.
See, you're complaining about how the Gangrel book is a giant nothing burger, and I think that makes them even more based. All this shit's happening, and we're still just chilling out in the woods.
Yeah, you just need to read the first and last sentence of all this stuff, and then that's it really. Which is why I'm kind of wondering, why didn't you focus more on the Gilgamesh angle? Why didn't you focus more on the war alongside the Ravnos? Instead of all this stuff where basically nothing happens.
Well, I mean, don't the Red Talons not have any history either?
That's because wolves don't have recorded history.
But what you get instead is that the Red Talons... What you get instead with the Red Talons is that they give you the story of the Triad unfiltered. Because the Red Talons don't lie to you. The Red Talons just tell you this truth straight up.
Right.
Where... You know it's bad when the Red Talons are trustworthy.
Yeah, it's a little rough.
Sure, right. And werewolves came from Ennoia. Sure.
Let's see.
Bullshit. No bullshit.
Not quite, because Ennoia didn't really. No, the werewolves came before Ennoia. That's what happened.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's all lies.
And Lilith might have a connection to Gaia, but we'll talk about Lilith some other day. Now, where can you find a Gangrel?
Yes.
Anywhere.
Pretty much.
Including Antarctica.
That surprises me.
You want to talk about the Antarctic Gangrel? Because there's a group of Gangrel that are with the Enkidu down in Antarctica drinking blood from penguins.
That's kind of funny, actually.
That's what they're doing down there.
It's it's cold. I'm going to eat a fucking penguin.
I mean, there are sea gangrels. And
yes.
they're
the
awesome.
mariners.
Oh, yeah. They're pretty awesome.
Yeah, the shark... that also has me wondering: do you have this? You have the Selkie with changing the dreaming. Could we get a seal Gangrel? I don't see why not.
Art.
But yeah, essentially the Gangrel are just everywhere. There's no stretch of the world that doesn't have a Gangrel on it. So yeah, like what the werewolves were saying with the vampire STD. Once you get it, you never get rid of it. It's just everywhere across your body by this point.
Yep.
Is that
You're forgetting
is that
one
the
part in
herpes sword? This
history.
never goes away.
What's that?
Oh, you're forgetting one important detail in the 1990s about the Gangrel teaming up with two of the greatest tag teams of all time, Edge and Christian.
Well, you tell us about that one.
Oh, the wrestler named Gangrel.
Yes.
Oh,
There we go.
I was really confused for a second there.
We can talk more about lore characters in a minute. All right. Let's talk about their connection with werewolves, because this is interesting.
Yes, this I actually want to know more about.
In first edition, going on page 19, there is this massive survival guide with the Lupines, as in how to not die as a Gangrel encountering a Lupine.
Yes.
First of all, don't act like you're better than them. Don't get in their faces. Don't try to mess with them. Don't do anything like that. The Lupines raised Ennoia. Let the Lupines be the host. You're the guest. Don't think you're in charge.
Yes.
After all, you're talking about the guys that live and breathe off of rage. Now, this is what's funny with me. The Werewolf was still in its very early stages around the time the Gangrel book was written. So they bring up the Worm by name in the Gangrel book. And the Gangrel are directly involved with the fight against the Worm.
Based.
If they're involved with a pack of werewolves, if the werewolf is smart, they will know not to kill the Gangrel. The Gangrel has nothing against the werewolf. The werewolf should go after the bigger issues, such as the more hostile vampire clans and, as usual, the Worm. If you see a Gangrel, try to make it an ally instead of an enemy. That's what you need to do as a Lupine.
I suppose that is the only reason Colt is still alive right now.
Exactly. The Wendigo don't like you, but they're not going to kill you.
Yep.
They're just going to freeze you, swallow and smack you around.
They're also a very little threat to the werewolf. Because, I mean, like, they don't most of them don't really interact with the Camarilla, the Anarchs, or the Sabbat. I mean, they're mostly
and they don't
just by
hunt predator
themselves.
animals.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I still like the idea of, a Gangrel, becoming friends with Golgofangs first. And then just killing shit in the Amazon. That'd be fucking tight.
There is a decent-sized presence in South America where they're fighting the Setites in South America.
Oh, that sounds like my kind of gem right there. I should go down to Brazil. It'd be a great time.
Now, Grant, more than likely that's going to be a Gangrel anti-tribute, so your mileage may vary.
Am I technically an anti-tribute at this point?
It's also cool that we get a proto name for the Black Spiral Dancers in this book.
Do we?
We get their very early first draft name with the Dark Dancers.
I actually didn't see that, but where was that at?
We could have lived in a future where the Black Spiral Dancers were known as the Dark Dancers. Instead of saying BSD, we just call them the DDs.
I don't know. Black Spiral Dancers has like more of a dark connotation, like 9 Inch Nails and shit.
The Dirk.
Exactly.
The Dirk Dancers.
Yeah, the Dark Dancers. That's just a little too generic. So I see why they changed it.
Yep.
But yeah, essentially, it boils down to don't mess with the Lupine. The Lupine won't mess with you.
Yep.
And also, do not feed it blood. You might think that's a good idea. You might piss off the werewolf by doing that. No,
just sit down at the table, politely drink what you are given, and don't eat anybody, and you'll live.
No. Now, granted, a werewolf with Protean. Can you imagine what that would look like?
My vitae quivers to think of it.
If you had a Gould werewolf that was drinking Gangrel blood and got Protean from it, and he was becoming other animals besides wolves, or these weird animal hybrids in his Kronos form.
Wouldn't they immediately get corrupted, though?
How sick would that would look?
That would probably be like they just start to glitch as they transform. Like, wait a minute, is that supposed to be a wolf tail?
Again.
Yeah, it's like that episode of Ben 10 where he accidentally breaks the Omnitrix and it starts fusing like two things together.
You look like some weird freaking nature.
Exactly.
Now, let's hope you like out and you get Fortitude instead. That's very good to have as a werewolf. 10 dice in your soak roll.
Yeah, I think you're gonna be all right, mate.
They also have this section about trusting the wolf. Maybe don't give it your full trust. After all, this guy runs off of rage. You don't know if he's going to snap and all of a sudden just thrust his hand through your chest. But once again, just do what the werewolf says. If you want the werewolf's trust, just do what he says. Do not question the werewolf. Just work with the werewolf at all times. He's the boss.
If you want to be on his good side, remember, you hate Pentex, you hate the worm, and you don't like, and you're eerie of the Weaver, and you'll get along very fine.
I launched a formal investigation into King Breweries when I worked at the IAA. I do hate Pentex.
And very good tip: if you feel your beast begin to creep up on you, get the hell away from the werewolf. Do not go into frenzy next to the werewolf. The werewolf will kill you if you do that.
Yes.
What? Why?
Yeah. You're frenzying, and all of a sudden you jump on the werewolf. You're going to drink its blood until he's dry. It's either you or him.
Also, here's one thing I've actually been thinking about.
Yes.
Would werewolves be insulted if a gangrel started to learn the ceremonial howls?
Probably not. It's more like a kinfolk doing it.
Yep.
Where
if you I mean, like, hey, you can use Protean to give yourself proper wolf pipes, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. You get the vocal cords right.
Yep.
Now the Gangrel book lists off a few tribes by name, like the Glasswalkers.
Yes.
And they say, in terms of interactions, this is one that you have probably the least amount with, given that they live in the city. And they say, they're part of the scavenger class. Them and the Bonars, we like to call them the scavenger wolves, where they just hang around in the cities and eat garbage. And yeah, that's not really our style. If you meet one, cool, but you typically won't. They also say, the Geta Fenris. They like the Geta Fenris. They say, these guys were born under a full moon. I guess every Geta Fenris they ever met was an Alrune, I suppose.
Probably.
And they want to die in glorious battle, and their bravery is unmatched, but they're also idiots at the same time. They will just throw themselves right into danger with no consequence, no fear of consequence.
I mean, I do remember during the Get Ephemeris episode, the Get Ephemeris actually bring up the Gangrel by name, and they say that you cannot trust. We'll get to that in a minute. You cannot trust any other leech, but the Gangrel you can trust.
There's also the Red Talons that they bring up, where they say, everything we just said about the Get Ephemeris, the Red Talons, that's like 2 Get Ephemeris brains put together.
It's still a half a brain.
They also mention one of their auspices and say that out of all the auspices, the Ragabash is their favorite. Because this is the most it's the most human of all the auspices. You've got the least amount of innate rage. You're the most civil, so to speak, of all the werewolves.
The most lighthearted. And the funniest.
Granted, you're also talking to the prankster werewolf, so, sleep with one eye open.
As long as I can enjoy my drink in peace while he's talking to me, that's fine.
They're going to play a prank on you. We're going to wake up from your day sleep, and all of a sudden you're at the bottom of a lake in a concrete sarcophagus.
And the Gangrels confuse one of them with a Nuisha. You're like, no, that's a Nuisha. The Ragabash is over here.
It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank.
I'm going to throw the fucking sarcophagus at him.
And they also mention, then once again, refer to them as like the Dark Dancers, the Dancers in the Dark Ones. We get a couple proto names with them. Not to be trusted.
Yeah, you don't fucking say.
They know that there is an evil Lupine out there that under no circumstances should you interact with. Stay away from them at all costs.
Yeah.
And that's essentially where the notes end. The next one is their relationship with the Ravnos. And once again, they say, well, I already said they will not mess with the Ravnos. They're completely cool with the gypsies, but occasionally there's a Ravnos that takes it a little too far, and they have to kick its ass to remind the Ravnos to be humble.
Yep.
And...
reminds me of that scene from Generation Kill. The people of this country are not your enemy, but if somebody steps up and wants a fight, you kick his ass.
You also have this segment about the making of a Gangrel, where why would you embrace somebody to Clan Gangrel? Really, the only reason a Gangrel will do that is if they have an intense personal connection with a human. That's the only reason you get people in Clan Gangrel.
Oh, you don't fucking say, man.
Yep, you will only embrace somebody in Clan Gangrel if you like them. If you're a Sabbat, it's because you need another soldier. And that's it, really.
That is not my experience, but all right.
Yeah, I guess for Noah, that would kind of make sense for him. All right.
Yeah. And there were only two forms of the Gangrel Protean form back then. It was a wolf and a bat that you turned into. And that was it.
There's more.
The classic ones.
Yeah.
Oh, is there more now?
There's more now. There's 6.
Yeah.
Oh, only 6? Really?
Yeah.
Ew.
There's 6 pre-made ones, but once again, it's Protean. Use your imagination.
Yeah, see, like, the whole thing about Protean is you can change into animal shape. Do you need, like, the blood of an animal to change into that animal, if I remember correctly?
Nah.
I don't think so, but that would be a fun requirement.
I feel like that'd be kind of neat.
It would be required to make sense, but you know what? Nah.
I mean...
It's like a skinwalker.
Yeah, think about it. So it's like your Gangrel is, like, chained up downstairs and they're threatening to kill him. A mouse falls off of a pipe onto his shoulder. He bites the mouse and then turns into a mouse to get out of the handcuffs.
And he is the Rat Man.
Yeah.
The New York City Rat Man has been on the loose. And let's see. And that's it for now. You want to bring up another lore character?
Yeah, may as well.
You want to bring up another lore character? You want to talk about Odin?
Oh, yes. That one was very important. We talked about him in the Get Ephemeris episode.
Now, you remember that this guy was the enemy of the Get Ephemeris.
Yes. Which makes me hard-pressed to wonder why exactly the Get Ephemeris trust the Gangrel so much then.
Now, we get confirmation in this book that Odin and... I'm talking about 2nd edition. That Odin and Wotan were 2 different people.
Okay.
This is the story from their perspective. Ennoia needed somebody to fight Ragnarok. So what he does is she walks over, embraces Odin, this ambitious wizard that says, I'm going to conquer Scandinavia and start an eternal empire. She says, you do that, but do it for a good cause. So she embraces Odin and then sends him off on his way. And Odin decides, I'm going to build that kingdom and it's going to resist the apocalypse. When the apocalypse happens, way down the line, we'll have a kingdom that will survive it. And he builds it on top of the wrong spot. He decided he wanted to pick Heimdall, the favorite cairn of the Get Ephemeris, to build his giant castle onto in order for him to harvest quintessence. Once again, he's a wizard. He's got to get quintessence for his magic, which pisses off the Get Ephemeris, as we know, resulting in the massive war between the Get Ephemeris and the forces of Odin. Now, Odin's a magic man. He's got a lot of spells. He's able to dominate people with the point of his finger. And you get the worm involved, and then Loki gets involved, and then it's this massive 500-man brawl going on in Scandinavia. And Odin dies in the middle of it, but not fully. He goes into torpor. And his body is kept in a giant chunk of ice beneath his castle. Fun.
You shouldn't have trusted his ravens.
You should. Well, it's the ravens were snitches and were never on his side.
Yep.
Exactly. You should never have trusted them.
It's
because
you wanted to play with Hunin and Munin, so in his own arrogance, he didn't count for the Korax coming in.
Right.
That's what you deserve, you asshole. Also, can we talk about just how sick his artwork is?
Oh, what? Here, let's see it.
Yeah, here's his picture.
Oh no, that goes insanely hard.
That's an awesome picture.
Oh, it's sick as fuck.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best artistic renditions of Odin I think I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
I would disagree. I mean,
do you have a better picture?
I'm not really on the computer right now. I'm just on my phone. But usually he has like a wide brimmed hat. It's even said so in the myth, right?
A hat.
He's supposed to look more Gandalf-y, if you ask me.
It's Finmer stole the hat. That's why.
That's probably right.
And
it's in the disguise. He can manifest it himself.
Now, the thing with Wotan is that this was an imposter. Wotan was, where that was a worm beast that used the image and name of Odin in order to steal his army and use it for the worm. That's what Wotan was. And the thing is, Wotan is the guy who puts the chains on the Fenrir that drags him down to the Deep Umbra, not Odin. But Odin might have some animosity towards the Fenris. There's a legend involving him where one day Odin's beard, just in his chunk of ice, was covered in blood. At the same day, a bunch of Fenris died horrible, violent, bloody deaths. So how did Odin get out of that block of ice? He hasn't gone out of it since. And there's a man in a chair watching Odin's body at all times to make sure he doesn't do that again. So is he waking up for Ragnarok? Maybe. Is Odin a good person but just horribly misled? I don't know. It's the mystery of his character.
I kind of like it regardless.
See. Now the fun thing. We get to talk about his child, Brunhilda.
That's a name for a fucking Nordic woman right there.
Yeah. I am excited for her. We get, I think this is revised. Here's what she looks like in revised. Yeah, this picture of her.
Oh yeah, that's a Brunhilda right there.
Yeah. And we kind of get like a chicken and egg situation with her because the Valkyries. Did Brunhilda name her coterie of vampires the Valkyries first? Or did the Fenris women get the name first? It's kind of up in the air. See.
I feel like the women after the defeat of Odin would have taken the name first. That's just me.
See. I kind of like her depiction in Record of Ragnarok better instead. Let's see. Let me go ahead and let me get her picture. It's because of like all the deranged faces she makes, because once again she is a war goddess. She's not supposed to be super pretty.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me pull up an example as to what I mean. See, you don't read this. You don't read this manga. You don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is what I mean.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. It's a good story that's bogged down by kind of crappy animation. See,
I think it's fine.
This is not the original text, but I like the face that she makes in this panel. It's just like shitty ink grin she's got. I don't think that's the original text, but
it's not
that's
my ex-boyfriend. Yeah, the eye's kind of weird on that one there.
Is that no? She's supposed to be deranged. That's her character.
Oh, yeah, then that works.
Yeah, she killed too many people. That's her issue.
Well, she's a little nuts, but at least she cares for humans.
She likes humanity at the end of the day. And what happens with her in the story is that when Odin goes into torpor, she takes over for his army. And she tries putting it back on track, only to get distracted by the Camarilla, who start coming in and want to Christianize the area, and she's not having any of that. Once again, this is supposed to be a kingdom that's supposed to resist Ragnarok, not the Rapture. So she starts getting all these different pagan believers to become Gangrel, and starts resisting the Camarilla with it. And now she's so wrapped up in fighting against the Camarilla, she's basically an anarch. She's basically an anarch. She works with the anarchs by this point, only because it gets the Camarilla out of her territory. That's the one reason why she works with them. Now she's beginning to steer the Aesir back to Odin's original intention or his original vision, but she's not quite there yet because, like I said, you got Christians to worry about. But she's, for the most part, a good person.
Yep.
And did I say she was her Odin's child? Oh, sorry, her Odin's grandchild. That's what I meant to say. We forgot to mention Ulfdom. Ah, my God, Slavic names. Ulf's Dotir. We forgot to mention him, but he doesn't really do anything, so it's fine.
Is a Nordic name, not a Slavic name.
Yeah, it's fine to forget about this guy. Nobody really cares about this dude. And let's see. Should we do another named character, or should we get right into relationships?
I feel like we're kind of name charactered out right now. Like we got Odin, we got Beckett, we got Ennoia, we got Enkidu, we got Jalon. We got a lot of folks out here.
Yeah, there's many interesting people in Clan Gangrel.
Yeah, even though the history leaves a lot to be desired, the characters within the clan are always based, which is why I'm really.
Which is like
this ain't. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. It's something I really like, where you get more character-focused stories, where not every chronicle has to be about the end of the world. You can have self-isolated stories like this, and this proves it.
Yeah.
Well, what about Mothman?
What about Mothman?
Well, it says here on page 36, there's a Mothman.
Is there actually?
There's a Mothman story, and it goes nowhere.
That's funny as shit.
Whoa, man, that sucks.
You thought it was going to be interesting. It's not.
I will say, though, that this book has reaffirmed the fact that I did indeed pick the right clan to make Cult in the game.
Is that you didn't know the lore of them at the time, but you didn't know it, but you were actually playing Clan Gangrel perfectly.
I was the most self-loathing Gangrel of all time, but I still managed to do it properly.
Because your whole story through it, your whole personal story behind it was just get me out of the Chronicle. I don't want to be in the Chronicle anymore.
Yes, I want to find my family. I want to make sure they're safe. I want to get away from all this nonsense.
You're saying, I want this game to end, please.
That's basically what it was, but it wasn't the Chronicle. It was the friends I made along the way.
I mean, if you want to play a vampire that hates being a vampire and wants to get out of being a vampire, play a Gangrel, I think.
Yes, that was my whole character, and I thought I was gumming up the session by doing that, but I think it worked kinda. That and like how the relationship developed, especially between both Colt and Sylvester and Colt and Ragnar.
Mm-hmm.
And even Colt and Tabitha to an extent, because I do recall one scene I really loved in that was in the...
Sylvester...
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sylvester was Ryan's character, for all who don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sylvester Shrek was Ryan's character and is one of my favorite characters, but I am forever a Ragnar simp. But like the one scene that I really loved was like after we all like played bowling, because we took shelter in a bowling alley for a day, for like the night. And I remember Colt just sort of like went to everybody in the party and like did a morale check generally. And he just kind of went over to Tabitha. Tabitha is not used to like the rigors of combat, though she is a very capable fighter. Tabitha was Meepian's character who played a Toreador. And Colt, you know, even though the Gangrel generally don't get along with the Toreador in a lore perspective, Colt more so just saw Tabitha as, you know, somebody who wasn't used to this and just needed to be protected. So he kind of, quite literally, he said, "Understand these sorts of things can be stressful, but if you ever feel like you're in too deep, just stand behind me. You'll be all right."
Which is exactly what she did.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
It was funny with talking about Sylvester. Before your embrace, you two would have been enemies, but after the embrace, you two ended up becoming close allies.
Yeah, I do find that funny, because Colt was a lawman beforehand, and Ryan's character was actually the Zodiac Killer. But, well, allegedly.
We never get confirmation if he was or not.
No.
Yeah. Easy with the accusations there.
One thing you actually forgot to mention. regarding Brunhilda is that you could say that all the children that Brunhilda had are Aramain.
Yeah, we'll get to that bloodline in a minute.
Oh yeah.
Now that bloodline's in trouble. We'll talk about that in a minute. But
that bloodline is actually my favorite clan in the whole, more so than Gangrel. I love it.
Really? I'm kind of surprised to hear that, but we'll get to that in a minute because I think we need to get to relationships.
You combine his favorite vampire clan with his favorite werewolf clan, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have first edition in my hands. Kyle has second edition.
Yes.
And let's talk about this.
Okay, different relationships. So the Gangrel actually have a decent amount to say about most people in the or most kindred. Starting off from the top, probably my second favorite clan, the Assamites. So the Gangrel.
You said ass.
Shut the fuck up, Noisha. Anyway,
fuck these guys.
The Assamites have clashed with the Gangrel for centuries, but also have fought side by side for centuries, sometimes even in the same battle. Both clans are known for their tendency to be mercenaries. They've learned to respect each other for their martial strength and their brutal honesty, but, the Gangrel are concerned about what the Assamites might be getting up to since they shrugged off the Tremir's curse. And now it's open season on the kindred of the other clans. And, for the Gangrel, killing is just something you do to survive. But the Assamites, they do it because they were made to do it. So, but thankfully they realize that, the Assamites have easier prey and bigger fish to fry for the time being.
First edition, it's an entire paragraph that boils down to no comment.
That sounds like first edition as a whole, second edition as a whole, if I'm being honest.
No, you have second edition. I have first.
Yeah, just first edition, because you were complaining about it. So
no, I was complaining about second edition.
Okay, yeah.
But it's that first edition is saying that the Gangrel and Assamites have nothing in common. Nothing in common.
We're good at fighting. That's about it.
There's no reason for these two to ever interact.
Okay. Then we have the Brujah.
They're probably both very honest.
Yes, that is what they said. They respect each other for martial prowess and brutal honesty.
You stay over there, I stay over here. That's it. That's our relationship.
And then Colt goes to Luis Ramirez, and the two are just like trying to just glare each other down.
You would hate that guy so much.
Yeah, basically. I mean, no. Given the aspect of Ramirez that makes him an Assamite, he would hate Colt first because he feels as if Colt is not you. I think that's one of the things we talked about in the Bun and Hakeem episode.
He quit the Sabbat.
Yeah, he's quite literally. Yeah. He was like, it's like the Assamites believe that there are a lot of vampires that do not use their vitae properly. And Colt would be one of them because he doesn't like what he is.
Yeah, the young neonate Assamite who feels like you have to use your powers for everything, versus the retiree Gangrel who just wants to just stop everything.
Yes. Moving on from them, we have the Brujah. On a superficial level, they relate very well. Violence is fun, rebellion is fun, but the Brujah's tendency to frenzy deeply unnerves the Gangrel's self-control. And they're likewise reluctant to support the whole du jour of the Brujah's rebellion. The Brujah, on the other hand, tend to find the Gangrel's instinct for survival first as, cowardice. Meanwhile, it's just us being fucking smart. We live to fight another day, then we're doing all right. They work best together when the objective is very clear, and then they can part ways after the night is over. That was not the case when I worked with Ragnar. He and I actually got along quite well.
In first edition, the Gangrel referred to the Brujah as animals. In fact, there are animals that are smarter than the Brujah. This is nothing but a clan of degenerates that deserves no respect. But the elders, on the other hand, you gotta look out for the Brujah elders because those are the smartest of the vampires.
Oh, that's why me and Ragnar got along.
Yeah, and a Brujah elder is a genius. We went over this briefly.
Yep. Old Bruja are based. It's basically it's basically like the Greatest Generation versus the Boomers.
Because after all, they founded Athens.
Yeah, they
the old liberals and the new liberals.
Yes.
Okay. Who's next?
After that, we have the Setites. They don't have a whole lot positive to say about each other, but then again, they also don't have a whole lot negative to say about each other. Because the Setites tend to keep to the cities, the Gangrel rarely see them. Tensions do run high in the areas where their paths do cross, and those times frequently give way to bloodshed. The Gangrel are inclined to the reptilian form, and personally have been known to become amicable recently with Setites. Although the Setites do believe that they've stolen the art of shape, or actually no, the Gangrel believe that the Setites have stolen the art of shapeshifting from them. So there's a lot of tension. They don't really say a whole lot about each other, but there is a lot of tension where they do happen to cross paths. You don't fucking say.
First edition, the Gangrel see no reason why anybody would ever want anything to do with a Setite, unless it came to partying. Because you go to a Setite party, you get so high you never come down.
Sounds like a great time.
They're mixing their blood into the cocaine at the party.
That sounds like a quick way to get a disease of gold.
You want to get cocaine, you go to a Setite. If you want to get mushrooms, you go to a Gangrel.
Hey.
Just how tweaked up you would be after going to a Setite party.
Well, yeah, and then you would immediately get sold into slavery.
And that crippling cocaine addiction.
Yes.
Yep.
This is why we killed all those Setites in Las Vegas, because they fucking deserved it.
Joey Diaz got out of it.
I did cocaine for 20 years. I got sand in the dials.
It's your Uncle Joey telling you to stay away from the Setites, kid.
Wake the fuck up, cocksuckers. You think the Setites have been ruining this fucking city with the fucking cocaine? We're gonna shoot, motherfucker. I love Joey Diaz so much. He's such a great dude. Anyway,
he's got a great podcast on YouTube.
I gotta watch the Church of What's Going On because it seems like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on from them, we have the Giovanni. This is a short one. They have basically nothing in common and nothing to argue about. As remarkable as that is among vampires, it does not make them allies. They just don't interact at all.
Same thing with first edition. The Gangrel were never invited to the spaghetti dinner, so they have nothing to say about the Giovanni.
Had Dentiste lived, then likely I would have been invited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody touched the spaghetti.
It's made out of people.
His players smoked too much, so we had to kick him out.
Yeah, sadly.
Sad.
Anyway, La Sombra. They respect each other deeply. The Gangrel respect the Sombra for their leadership capabilities and the veneer of honesty that exists. The La Sombra respect the Gangrel's strength of character and their ferocity in battle. But the Gangrel absolutely do not trust La Sombra, and the La Sombra want nothing more than to make the Gangrel their pawns. But at the very least, the Gangrel know that the Keepers will think real long before fucking them over.
There's no entry in first edition on the La Sombra. Alright, we'll move on.
Yep, Malkavians. No, get them the fuck away from me. Fuck the Malkavians. They suck.
Can we get this screaming Steve Carell from The Office?
Yes, they are insightful and unpredictable and viciously insane. The Gangrel take a lot of pains to weed out instability out of their broods because they don't like to have things fucking around. At least in the young, the beast inevitably claims the binds of the old, but they need to be strong from the start of it. Malkavians seem to sense the fact that the Gangrel are uneasy around them, and that makes them even worse. It's like a cat who knows it can discomfort most. They have some sort of strange joy keeping Gangrel around just to fuck with them.
It's like
a cat knowing that they're allergic. When someone's allergic to a cat, the cat knows it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a wasp, where the more you think about the wasp, the more the wasp wants to be around you.
Yeah, exactly. And I fucking hate wasps. They're terrible. They're terrible creatures.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing you just said is in first edition.
Yes. Nosferatu. The kindred of these two clans have a bit of a very sad, resigned understanding between each other. They don't really understand what happens for each other. Like, the Nosferatu don't really understand what the Gangrel go to, slowly losing their personality. And the Gangrel can't really understand the sudden obliteration of a self-image. But they do empathize with each other, and they both know that, like, their lives are basically over. Like, once the beast takes hold of a Gangrel, he's going to lose everything that he was. The Nosferatu's already lost everything that he was. And for that reason, they will never screw each other over. They won't do it at all if it can be avoided.
Yeah, same thing in first edition. That the Gangrel like the Nosferatu. They have nothing against them. They say they got great stories, got all this information. They have tons of stuff for sale. Just go ahead, just drop right in on the Nosferatu at any time. But
if only they hung out more in the wilds. Why do they always stick to the story?
If there's a Bloodline of Nosferatu that hung out in trees.
That honestly makes the story that I wrote a little while ago even more, concrete, because I started writing. I never got to finish it because I was focusing on my certifications, but I started writing a story where Colt's being hunted by some werewolves for like some cheap renown, and he happens across a water treatment plant that is being run by a Nosferatu hiding out in the basement. And Colt, the Nosferatu lets him in to get him away from the werewolves. Colt eventually becomes friends with him because he felt bad that he was kind of down there all on his own. The Nosferatu's name was Mickey, who I think I said in the Nosferatu episode ratted out I think it was a Ventrue prince that was in charge of Vancouver back in the 70s, and he had to flee the city and has lived there in the middle of nowhere ever since. So,
given the events of Vancouver Dark Alliance, that guy deserved it.
Probably.
But there is one major catch with the Nosferatu. Be careful about what you say around them, because every Nosferatu talks with another Nosferatu.
Yes.
So you want to share a secret with the Nosferatu, every member of the Nosferatu will know about it.
Yep. That is pretty much why... Sorry, go ahead.
It's like going to the Corax with a secret.
Yeah, that's not going to remain a secret for very much longer, if that's the case. So this is why most of what Cole talks about is like, do you see what's on the news? He's like, I wrote the news. Ah, right. Anyway, I went out hunting the other night. It was kind of nice. Keep it a small talk. No, that's how you stay safe around the Nosferatu. Small talk is fine. Right. Moving on from that, we have the Ravnos. It's been a turbulent relationship, given the whole battle between the Kuei-jin and Ennoia and Ravnos. But pretty much every Gangrel will refuse to attack a Ravnos on sight, and vice versa. And, nothing keeps individuals of both clans from being acquaintances, members of a coterie, or even just mutually civil with each other. Most Gangrel who have spent time with educated sires have heard the stories about the mythical rivalry between the antediluvians back in, like, the 15th century, or, like, more personal tales of deceit. And, the Ravnos will tell similar stories to the Childer. So, like we said before, the neonates will think of them as the enemy because somebody told them not to. But, pretty much most of the other time, the Gangrel kind of just carry a devil-may-care attitude towards the Ravnos, but they always have to keep a close eye on their belongings. Unlife as an Anarch is rough without having to worry about whether your sire was actually right about them. The Sabbat, meanwhile, seem to take perverse pleasure in creating Ravnos Gangrel alliances, but those are usually very short-lived. At the extreme, some very ill-fated pairings insist the continuing feud between Gangrel and Ravnos is the will of the antediluvians, and that's fucking terrible, and it's wrong. And it's just wrong.
In first edition, there's an excerpt here about the Gangrel and Ravnos fighting for neonates. and that's because they both sire people that are gypsies. They'll go into the caravan and sire somebody from that caravan. So frequently, the Gangrel and the Ravnos will have to fight each other to see who's going to sire the guy first.
Basically, yeah. I mean, this is when you should work together, because then you're both hurting the same people.
Exactly. Combine the blood, make a new vampire.
Well, that'd be interesting. Protean and chemistry.
That's a hell of a ride.
You can with Kada.
Oh, yeah, you can.
If you mix the blood and then the embrace, that would just create a cative.
You got chemistry, you got
animalism animalism and Protean.
Chemistry, animalism, and blood sorcery.
Oh, fuck that. No, three.
Well, there we go. They're going to be stretched thin on blood points, but once again, you got a solution for every situation.
Oh, yeah. That is a utility right there.
They can get fortitude twice.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Toreador.
There are few clans with as little in common as the Toreador and the Gangrel. The Toreador think the Gangrel are uncouth and dirty mongrels. The Gangrel think the Toreador are, stuck up and domesticated, and both are usually right about each other, but they're, both of those, ills towards each other are out in the open and very well acknowledged. And because of that, they don't tend to fight each other very often. They move in very different places, and they're content to move in different places. And there are rare instances of intense cooperation, usually on very nice places of land. And then the Toreador get bored with ecological matters once the patch of ground actually has a, money asset to it.
They hate the Toreador in first edition, but they love their work. Who can we name that's an artist that is a terrible person, but you really like the work of them?
Kanye West.
There you go.
That's a good one. Yeah, I really love his music, but I would not want to meet that man on the street.
Yep. I'm trying to think.
I hate him. I hate his music. I hate everything about him.
Oh.
See who else? Probably, if I'm going to take a guess, Hideki Kamiya in video games, because Kamiya is the guy who makes Devil May Cry, and the Devil May Cry games are great, but Hideki Kamiya is so fucking batshit crazy. I would want nothing to do with this guy. You send him an ad on Twitter, you say, "Hey, I love your work," and he says, "Okay, thank you," and then he blocks you.
Or what about Alan Moore or H.P. Lovecraft?
Yeah, H.P. Lovecraft is one.
Woody Allen. Who else?
Mel Gibson.
Yes.
Mel Gibson. Let's see.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Alfred Hitchcock was an asshole, you say?
Yeah, he was. He ended multiple female actresses' careers because of,
because they weren't very good.
Well, no, it's not that. It's because of not Epstein, Weinstein reasons.
Yeah.
You will have sex with me, and I will make you famous. Certainly, yes.
Oh, Little Richard.
My penis is the MacGuffin of this scene, you see.
Suck my Hitchcock, won't you?
Pull the Tremere.
The Tremere, okay. So, the Tremere. As we know, an old, bad rivalry festers between the Tremere and the Gangrel. They have been at each other's throats since the Dark Ages. When they first reached Eastern Europe, Gangrel started to go missing all the time, and some of them wind up in Tremere laboratories. The resentment simmered under the Camarilla, and now it no longer applies. Many Gangrel just want to find a Tremere and tear their fucking heads off. And the Tremere want to commit genocide against the Gangrel because they're the Tremere. Perhaps to punish the affront to the Camarilla, and most certainly put a dangerous enemy out of the way. Fuck the Tremere. Fuck the Tremere. I hate the Tremere. Kill all the Tremere you look at.
That actually might be a good explanation for Noah's background. because he actually is getting his memories back, and it turns out that he was a laboratory. Could have been.
This is your character, right?
This is my character. You don't know.
Yeah.
It's the LARP game. Yeah.
Oi. Oi. Do you need a sniper?
I know one.
Do you need a spotter?
And
no thanks. I'm good at lifting weights.
God damn it.
In first edition, the Gangrel warned that every time you work with the Tremere, every time the job's done, the Tremere will try to cover their ass and kill you at the end of it.
Yeah, that sounds better, right?
Yeah, don't work with the Tremere unless you know how to escape them.
When in doubt, know your way out.
Every job with them ends poorly.
Yes.
See. The Zamichi.
So, usually the Gangrel and the Zamichi don't get along. Quite famously so. Mostly because, they share the talent for shapeshifting in very, very different ways.
Yes.
The Gangrel think that the Zamichi is just warping and mutating, which it is, while the Zamichi can't understand why the Gangrel like animals so much, because the ability to become truly monstrous is in their grasp. Aside from the philosophical side of them, they do share a vague resentment born of the conflict of the hate of Tremere, and the sires and their childer who remember those times might at least act politely to each other. Kind of like myself and Vigo. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him, but I can't help but admit he's very, very good at what he does.
And
we just had
no comment on them in first edition.
We're just at a party with like a Zamitsi. He's like, so fuck those Tremere, right? Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, fuck the Tremere.
Absolutely. When's the next jihad?
Yeah, just let me know. I've got ammo.
When is like a Henna scenario? You get like a Henna scenario where Tremere's the villain going to happen, so we can finally team up again.
That's gonna be fucking. This is gonna be fucking. Just Colton Vigo if the Tremere decide to fuck around as the fucking Senator Armstrong thing. I gotta get that again.
And lastly, the Ventru.
Yes, the Ventru. So the Ventru found the Gangrel useful, and they thought the Gangrel are hunting dogs, bloodhounds, and retrievers. And now the hound, just wants to bite its hand off. The Gangrel towards the Ventru are unchanged. They're uptight, self-important bastards that can't understand that all along the Gangrel were doing what the fuck they wanted to do.
And in first edition, they hate the Ventru. They don't. Not a bone in their body likes the Ventru.
They are pricks, so
they'll frequently set up a Ventru for assassination at the hands of tribes like the Glasswalkers, the Bonars, and the Gafenris.
I think the only Ventru I ever liked was Arthur Gondolin. That's because we got to talk about Elvis.
Yeah, talk about the fun old times with the Elvis Presley impersonating vampire.
All right, look, I love Elvis. I grew up listening to Elvis. I can't help but like the mate that looks like Elvis and sounds like Elvis and sing like Elvis.
That was a fun little quirky mini-boss idea.
I liked him. I quite liked him.
And that's it in terms of relationships. You want to talk about anything involving the werewolves that I did not mention before? Because there's a decent chunk of werewolf information in that book.
There is quite a bit. So we already talked about how you avoid them whenever possible at first. They are not your friends, and they have religious issues with you being Gangrel. You are not a part of their tribe. Don't ever think you're a part of their tribe. Stay as far away from cairns and septs as humanly possible. Do not pretend to be a werewolf. They will know. Because they're going, even if you manage to pass the initial check, as soon as they start talking about Garo mythology, or they start speaking the Garo tongue, you're shit out of luck. Keep your contact with them to a minimum. You might be able to sell them some information, but they are very, very unstable. They can't be trusted to not kill you after you tell them what you know. And if you try to talk to them, keep it light, keep it agreeable. And don't talk about the hippies you just drank dry. Don't talk about the points of ecological warfare. They're better at it than you. With a few light conversations, you might be able to negotiate ceasefire with them. But it's going to require some very unpleasant concessions on your part. But in all honesty, that's worth not getting your guts torn out of you. Even though the Garo typically aren't much for negotiating. If they're upset and you're on their turf, get the fuck out of there. Most of them can't fly, so turn into a bat and fly.
And then the Glassworker shoots you down with his auto-aim assault rifle.
Yeah. I like this one passage in the book. I can hear some of you, especially those wearing horny Viking hats, shouting about honor and territory and valor. You guys do what you want. I'll light a candle for you in Van Halla or something.
You are going to die at the hands of that guy Fenris the minute you piss him off.
Yes.
And they don't tell the story of Ennoia.
Yes.
They'll probably find that offensive.
No.
Speaking of, let me just go ahead and get the Ennoia story out of the way first.
Yes.
There are 2 ways her story ends in World of Darkness. And throughout history, Ennoia frequently goes in and out of torpor. She's the only antediluvian that will just randomly wake up and will just hang around for a few years, just walk around for a few years, then go back to sleep and then wake up again. And
she just
Augustus
gets up to go
Giovanni,
to the fridge and get a snack, then go back to sleep.
Exactly that. And Augustus Giovanni is kind of cheating because, Giovanni only got his antediluvian powers through Cappadocius. And of course Malkav is cheating because Malkav is just the heir by this point.
Yes.
And it's debatable with Zenitchi how much of him is asleep. But in Ennoia, there's 2 ways her story ends. We have to talk about Gehenna for a minute, the Gehenna book. There are 2 scenarios where Ennoia is a major player. The first one is Chapter 4, Nightshade, the Nightshade scenario where all the antediluvians wake up around the same time. After Zenitchi, Tremere, and Giovanni all die within a week, Set gets resurrected. And Set, through the mass devouring of his own clan, eventually gains enough power to where he can, blood bond other antediluvians to him.
I'm surprised that Zenitchi died during that.
Yeah, Zenitchi's the first to die because he blows the masquerade.
Oh, so they nuke him from orbit?
Exactly. They send everything they've got after Zenitchi, and that manages to kill him.
Based.
So, yeah. And what happens with Set is that, you remember that picture we showed before, and I think it was like the Bano Hakim episode? It turns out that commenter was right. That wasn't Hakim in that picture. That was Absimiliard in the background. And he manages to force feed his blood to Ennoia, Arakel, Malkav, Absimiliard, and why is his name slipping here? Lasombra. That's who he feeds it to. And with that, he pretty much becomes the god of the new planet and forces Ennoia to do his bidding because she's bloodbound to him.
That kind of sucks.
So,
Ennoia actually just seems like a cool
scary
chick.
Thought.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought that he's that powerful. That goes to show just how fucking scary Set would be if he came back.
But the thing is that the followers of Set are so fanatical that they would be fine with that, which makes it worse.
Exactly. That's the thing with Set. You think you're fighting the worm, but no, you're playing right into his hands. Do not cry because he is smote by Salat by the end of that story.
Based.
And the circumstances, how we'll leave that for the Gehenna video. But in the other chapter, Crucible of God, Ennoia is one of the antediluvians that could end the world. She runs over to Gaia, and she throws her hands into Gaia's crust and says, "Gaia, give me strength." And through her power, fuses with the planet.
I thought she already was one with
crust.
Gaia.
No, when she wakes up occasionally, she walks around as the Super Beast, where she's whatever animal she wants to be for that time, and just walks around. She gets her planet powers in 2004, which is when Gehenna would take place. But, in our game, she's already part one with the planet. So, yeah, this is when she gets the superpower. And if you want to fight Ennoia after she fuses with Gaia, you are walking, and a mouth the size of New York opens beneath your feet, swallows you. That's the end of the fight. That's it. That's it.
I mean, I'm really glad I don't have any beef with the vampire that made all the vampires like me, so I'll leave that right where it is. If she shows up as a dog at my door, I'm giving her a treat.
It's a little strange that she's not in chapter 3, which is the scenario that directly involves Lilith. It's funny because the Brujah Antediluvian has more of a connection to Lilith in that chapter than Ennoia does.
That's kind of weird.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, White Wolf didn't read their own stories. That's why you have so many continuity errors.
It's so fucking stupid.
But, it's the Brujah Antediluvian coming back, so, you lose something, you get something.
They don't have an antediluvian. It's a fake antediluvian.
It's Ilias, and I really like Ilias as a character. And we'll talk about her with the Brujah episode, because I really do like that character. She fought Irad, and it looked like Mark versus Omni-Man from Invincible when they fought. Where
that's rough.
Yeah, the two of them are like jumping across continents, punching each other so hard. He punched you while you were in Africa. You landed in Asia.
That's a fucking loop right there.
Right.
And now we can talk about Protean.
Yes.
What
Right.
about Bloodlines?
Protean.
We'll talk about Bloodlines after Protean, because there are some unique versions of it that need the background first.
Yep.
So Protean.
Yeah, we'll talk about
But I
Bloodlines.
kinda need to leave soon.
After this.
Oh, okay.
So people will know what we're talking about when we talk about how important Protean is.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. It'll be quick. So we're just going up to level 5 in this form, right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to start with Eyes of the Beast. The vampire sees perfectly well in pitch darkness, not requiring a light source to notice details in even the darkest basement or cave. The vampire's beast is evident in his red glowing eyes, a sight sure to disturb most mortals. The character must declare his desire to call forth the eyes. No roll is necessary, but the change requires a full turn to complete. While manifesting, the character suffers a +1 difficulty to all social rolls with mortals unless he takes steps to shield his eyes, like sunglasses or contacts. A vampire without this power, who is immersed in total darkness, suffers blind fighting penalties.
Kind of a shittier version of heightened senses.
Oh, look.
Not much of a power.
Yeah.
It has its uses. I mean, I'm in this dark room surrounded by men with night vision glasses. Whatever shall I do?
Turn on the light.
Oh, that too.
Get Oxpix.
So that's a power down the drain. What happens at level 2?
You get feral claws. The vampire's nails transform into long bestial claws. The talons are wickedly sharp, are able to rend flesh with ease, and can even carve stone and metal with little trouble.
That was my favorite power to use.
The beast is
You can do ag damage.
Yeah. They're prominent in claws as well, making them a fearsome weapon against other immortals. It's rumored that Gangrel have modified this power to change their vampire fangs into vicious tusks. The claws grow automatically in response to the character's desire. They can grow on both hands and feet. The transformation requires the expenditure of a blood point. Takes a single turn to complete. Everything here takes a single turn. Damn. And lasts for a scene. The character acts normally in combat, but the claws inflict strength +1 aggravated damage. Other supernaturals can't normally soak this damage, although powers such as Fortitude may be used. Additionally, difficulties of all climbing rolls are reduced by 2.
And yeah, I'm beginning. I think I'd rather take vicissitude, but let's keep going.
Yeah. This one is a wall of text, so I'm just going to summarize it. Essentially, you sink into the ground. It's going to take, a turn? And it happens automatically, and you go into a step above torpor, I believe it said.
Yes.
It is literally the Homer Simpson meme where he just melds into the bushes.
Yep.
While this is happening, the player can make a humanity and path roll, difficulty 6, for the character to rouse themselves in a response to danger prior to the desired time of emergence. But because this character is in an in-between state, any attempts to locate him, like catch his scent or scanning for his aura, are made at a +2 difficulty. Astral individuals cannot affect the vampire directly, instead meeting with some kind of spongy resistance as their hands pass through.
Mm-hmm.
Digging in the material world encounters incredible hard-packed earth, virtually as dense as stone. Attempts at violence upon the submerged vampire from either side return him to his physical nature, expelling the soil with which he bonded in a blinding spray, making it so that all perception-based rolls are at a +2 difficulty for the turn. And the character suffers a penalty of 2 being subtracted from his initiative for the first turn.
Yeah.
What's he's?
Am I hearing? Oh, that's a fireworks show. Okay, never mind.
Once he's fully out of the earth, he can act normally.
Where, once again, not the most glamorous of powers, but I can see that being useful.
This is
honestly, it's
good.
It's lacking. Protean is lacking. I wouldn't take it.
Yeah, this is. It's a very spiritual power, but it doesn't do that much, really.
Who would willingly
not until you get to level 4
put themselves into torpor?
Well, this one here is like if you are caught out in the middle of goddamn nowhere and you have no other choice, you're going to get burned to a crisp if you do not find some cover. You meld into the earth and you wait for nightfall and you are good to go.
Exactly. This is the reason why it's so hard to catch a gangrel, because you don't know where they go at night.
They can sleep anywhere.
Yep, I was out in the woods. I was being chased down by something. I said, fuck that. I picked up my phone. I said, I'll be back tomorrow night. Put the phone away and then fell into the earth.
See, if we were to tell Grim there was a gangrel in his backyard, he wouldn't believe us.
No, he wouldn't.
Exactly.
And then I just crawl out of the ground like it's really stuffy down there.
Now we talk about the decent power.
Yeah, shape of the beast.
Now don't go in depth with the animal forms. Just name what the animal forms can be.
Wolf or bat.
Yeah. Wolf, bat, bear, hyena, lynx, barracuda, hawk, and vulture.
Where are you seeing this?
On the Soligia wiki. What are you looking at right now?
The Soligia wiki.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
Yeah, it's down in animal forms.
Yeah.
Oh, there's okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, I quite like the hawk form. I think that'd be really cool.
Pretty
I would
much.
be a great sniper if I could do that. I could fly up to the top.
Just pick an animal and
tree,
turn into it.
Get up there.
Pretty much the animal forms are split into 2, the fight or flight. It takes, where is the system? Right there.
It takes a full turn.
It takes a full turn. You
takes
spend a blood
3
point.
turns.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
I believed you on that one. It takes 3 turns and you spend a blood point. You can spend additional blood points to reduce the time of transportation by 1 turn per point to a minimum of 1. The vampire remains in the beast form until the next turn. Unless he wishes to change Vexing. Interesting.
Vicissitude's Horde form and the Black Metamorphosis are both 1 turn.
Yeah. Why 3?
Yeah, that's stupid. I would change that just for the house rule where you can just instantly transform.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of that.
You want me to shill out 3 blood points to go into that form?
No, 2.
In one turn?
No, just one. Just one, I'd say. I mean, fuck that. Like, it's way too expensive.
The way it's written now, okay.
No, you're right.
Now, no, missed form, why? No, this is vicissitudes level 5, but it's just the same thing.
Yeah.
Protean sucks.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Like, Protean...
Danston,
what?
you cut out.
What?
Takes 3 turns.
Danston, you cut out.
He fell down the black hole.
He did. He fell down a flight of stairs.
Graham
Welcome
left
back.
a hole on the floor again.
I hear you, but now you're really quiet.
Hello? Hello?
There you go. Okay.
Welcome back. There you go.
He's at the bottom of the hole. We can hear him.
It's because Protean came out first, and then someone decided, oh, I'm going to make something like it.
Yep.
And then vicissitude came out and is even better.
Yeah.
And it is better in every way.
Stupid.
But that
so,
is...
yeah,
so this one.
So don't play Gangrel, play as Amici.
Or
No.
play Kadif.
See, be a horrible person and play Clan Amici.
No, I'm not going to do that. I've seen what Vigo does. I'd rather not do that.
Just let the devil in. Just go ahead and do it.
No. I quite like this whole Mother Gaia thing. It's growing on me.
All right. Let's watch that taste of protein out of our mouth with animalism. We'll go through this super quickly.
Yes.
I'm bringing up animalism because this is the only other clan we'll get the chance to talk about animalism with. Okay, so Feral Whispers, congratulations, you begin to have a conversation with animals. It's not like a full-on like words. It's not speak with animals with D&D, but pretty much it gets an animal to like you and approach you. That's basically what it does. The beckoning is, behold, it's conjure animals. You get to summon animals to your location, where depending on how well you do in that charisma and survival roll, it will bring an X amount of animals over to your way within a certain area. I see. If it's 1 success, a single animal responds. 2, a quarter of the animals in your local area respond. 5 successes, every animal responds.
That's kind of funny, actually. That would be very useful in the Amazon.
Now, I don't get why this power isn't with Valoran. Quell the Beast, where it stops a vampire or a werewolf in frenzy.
Again, very useful.
And that's just a good power to have.
I mean, yeah.
Let's see. Next up is Subsume the Spirit. By locking gaze with an animal, the vampire may mentally possess the creature. So behold, become animals. You stare into that rabbit's eyes, you become the rabbit for a short amount of time.
It's kind of a safer way of actually scouting. If you think about it.
Depending on how many successes you get, you might be able to use other disciplines with it. Like if you get 2 successes, you can use Auspex.
That'd be kind of neat.
If you get 5 successes, you can use Necromancy.
But it's still on.
Raise the dead. And then drawing out the beast. Let's go into detail with this one. At this level of animalism, the kindred has a keen understanding of the beast within and is able to release his feral urges upon another mortal or vampire. The recipient of the vampire's beast is instantly overcome by frenzy. This is an unnatural frenzy, however, and as the victim is channeling the kindred's own fury. As such, the vampire's own behavior, expressions, and even speech patterns are evident in the subject's savage actions. You send someone else into frenzy with this power.
Yes, but if you fuck it up, then your frenzy goes off.
Yeah,
that's a very high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. You're also kind of abandoning your own beast and putting it into somebody else. And not just that, you actually can risk losing your own beast if they get away.
So, to be honest, I'm kind of
throw your beast on somebody. Throw your beast onto somebody.
You may think that
war crime that you need to do, and then the beast comes back. You get no penalty from it.
Well, you may think that not having a beast is a good thing, but you actually cannot recover willpower without your beast.
So their power may vary, and depending on your chronicle, depending on your storyteller. Now they're doing willpower.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I've actually come up with theories of what happens if you deoblarize a vampire who has lost their beast because they use...
Tell me.
Well, because the beast is actually part of like a vampire's soul, so to speak.
Yes.
So my theory is that you don't exactly absorb all of their powers if you actually deoblarize somebody without the beast.
So you only get the blood and that's it. You don't actually get any like the discipline or the generation increase or anything like that. It's almost...
That could be possible, or the soul doesn't have as much power over the person who eats it.
It's almost like Diablo really isn't really worth doing.
Right.
So that's a Vigo.
But then there's also the case, like outside of Diablo, if a vampire goes without their beast for a long enough time, protection, what other things could happen to them? You know, they could I've actually come up with like theories of Bane's taking over. Like,
or they can reach Golconda.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Or I could reach Golconda and be able to go out in the sun again.
Well, you need willpower though, and you can't recover it without your beast.
Well, I don't necessarily need willpower. I mean, like, if I can go out into the sun and eat a hamburger again, then I think that's a win-win.
However, unless, of course, you are an Aramane.
There we go. That's the loophole. It's the loophole.
Because they have a power with Spiritus that basically lets them gain willpower by eating Eekfries.
Exactly. The mechanical powers.
I feel like at this point, go ahead.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's talk about the Bloodlines. Now's the perfect time to talk about it.
Yes. So, in the Gangrel, there are a number of different bloodlines. There are 5 of them. The Aramanes, the Akunasi, I can't fucking say it. The Unda.
The hell of a name.
Yeah. And the Leonin and the Noyad. Starting off with the Aramanes. The Aramanes are actually a female or an all-female bloodline of kindred that originally came about during the Dark Ages, headed by a woman called Adisia. Sometime during the Long Night, her bloodline was completely lost and subsumed into Clan Gangrel, but it was unknowingly resurrected later in the modern era by a woman called Mauricia. And since then, the Aramanes roam the night again, but under a different guise and a different leader. So during the Dark Ages, Adisia was a Valkyrie and a daughter of Freya, the Norse goddess. And she traveled far and wide, and she drew the attention of the Persian king, Ahriman. The king commanded Adisia to fight for him, but she refused. Furious, Ahriman sent his forces to subdue her, and after 3 days of fighting, she was slain. Freya came to take her daughter to Folkvanger. Adisia refused. She did not begrudge the warrior who had slain her, since he had bested her fairly, but she loathed the king for what he had done to her. Freya consented to hide Adisia from the other gods for 3 nights, so she might seek her revenge. So the first night, Ahriman and his court fled from Adisia in great carriage ships, but Adisia's mother had taught her to speak with animals, and they told her where the king had gone and hid. So Ahriman knew about this power and slew all the animals around so she couldn't betray him. But Adisia, could see the spirits of animals and speak to them as well. And on the 3rd night, Adisia arrived at Ahriman's castle, and she had torn apart his castle with her bare hands and then killed the king. And after she killed him, she took his name from him as punishment so he would wander forever, lost in the afterlife. When Freya returned to take Adisia with her to the afterlife, she refused, and her own vengeance was done, but she knew that there were other women like her who had also been wronged, and she wanted to support them. So under the name that she had stolen from the king, she had founded the Aramanes. and she remained the leader of that bloodline until it was lost during what is referred to as the Long Night. So the Long Night is the time period at the fall of Rome in the 5th century, ended with the sacking of Constantinople during the Fourth Crusade.
Right.
It encompasses the Dark Ages and the first part of the Middle Ages. The end of the Long Night is heralded as the War of the Princes. The time that spans these two eras is collectively known as Dark Medieval. However, the Aramanes returned in a fashion centuries later when a Cainite by the name of Mauricia sought independence from her clan. And upon arrival in the west, the Gangrel of both Camaril and Sabbat went to the southern wilderness, encountered the neighbor tribes, and they set up havens near the villages to prey upon the villagers and defend them from the intrusion of the European colonizers. Mauricia studied the powers of the local shamans who called upon arcane powers to alter their vitae, and she effectively was able to use it to separate herself from her clan, and her blood has been forever altered by such power. And she combined the spiritual shaman magic with her Gangrel powers to give her an unusual edge. She broke her vinculum with her sire, not wanting to get caught up in the constant warfare between the two rival Sabbat Gangrel, and the Aramanes from that point on roamed the night once again. The Sabbat-affiliated bloodline that shared unusual bonds with spirits and operated mainly in the Americas. They were seen as a Gangrel intertribute by other clans, and the Aramanes were never numerous, but they remained nominally allied with the Sabbat. They made it clear that they were to be left alone, but the isolation may have doomed them, as in the late 1990s, all contact with the cats had ceased. As far as organization go, they were surprisingly well organized for a nomadic group spread out over Europe's coastlines back in the Dark Ages. Aramane usually left runic scripts for her sires, not intended for outsiders, so she could leave messages for others, basically saying there are hostile Cainites here, or it's good to hunt here, basically to help other Aramanes along their travels. Usually they would stay alongside with each other. In the final nights, Mauricia tried to create others like herself, but she found out that the shaman's magic had made her vitae completely infertile. But she learned that she could choose an existing Gangrel and use the same ritual to make them like her. And so basically all modern Aramanes were Gangrel before they became Aramanes. And Mercia only allowed females to join
all
her
moderns.
brood. What?
Yeah.
All modern Gangrels.
Yeah, all
All
modern
modern
Which is-
Aramanes were.
Yeah,
Yes.
you asked me before in the events of Las Vegas by Night if it was possible for Cult to change clans. This is the only confirmed way you could do that.
But it's not likely because you're a male.
Yes.
Well, no,
It's,
I mean,
unless you go and get Vigo to do the sex change on you, because he's got vicissitude, he can do that.
no, I think I'm pretty well stuck the way I am for right now. That, and people finally left me alone until this fucking New York business happened. That, and I was held prisoner by the fucking Wendigo.
You will never find rest.
I
That's your
really
character.
can't. It's pissing me off. I
You
just
went
want to
from one
retire.
cage to another.
I just want
Exactly.
to fucking retire.
It's a character
Anyway.
stuck in a state of eternal suffering.
Yeah, the ride never bloody ends. All I want is my family to be safe. And I can't even have that. Anyway.
But I'm glad that you actually read the description in both the Dark Ages and from the
Well, I think
modern
it's important to
setting.
have both the background and the fact that you
Exactly.
can still play as them.
Yeah, because the Dark Ages are where most of these come from.
Yes.
Right.
And
And a lot of them
Except-
are
except-
like, what's up?
except for Libon.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
get to that.
Mhm.
But
But yes, I love the Aramanes. They're amazing.
they are pretty tight.
You can't-
But good.
You cannot blood bond them.
No,
Mhm.
you cannot.
That is their weak.
That is their clan
Nope.
bane, is their vitae is
It's-
infertile. You cannot form blood bonds, and you cannot sire people without the
Yep.
fucking ritual, and they have to already be Gangrel.
Well,
So-
actually, you can
so-
sire them. You can sire them, at least in the Dark Ages. You
Yep.
just can't make ghouls,
Yep.
and that's it.
So typically the Aramanes were usually nomadic, and they learned to make quick daytime shelters in the wilderness. They didn't really thrive in cities. They would basically find abandoned locales if they were in a city. They didn't really discriminate when it came to prey. They would only exclude breastfeeding mothers, infants, and pregnant women as a defense of Freya, who's the goddess of fertility. In the modern day and age, they're more of an artificial bloodline, and the Aramanes must renounce their former clan before they're accepted into the bloodline. As for the embrace, Adasia's bloodline consisted only of women. There were some stories of Aramane falling in love with men and embracing them, which usually ended in both of them being killed. Adasia's gift was not for men. Women whose bodies did not match their spirit were accepted, however, Adasia favoring the spirit in these cases. Following the embrace, they would be treated like any other Aramane. The sire usually seeks out strong, independent women, and they know how to hunt and fight, but sire knows that skills are more easily taught than attitude. Social standing doesn't really matter either, but most modern Aramanes were Gangrel before their magical transformations. As such, their backgrounds are pretty varied, as much as their parent clan. The sort of Gangrel that became Aramane are female, usually non-white, and often frustrated by their current sect or city.
And Scottish.
Yes.
A BSD connection? I hope not.
I hope not.
Hey, actually, when I played one, I made one connection.
Oh, well,
I
I'm
loved
gonna
it.
fucking die, mate.
Scotland's a terrible place to be in the World of Darkness and in real life.
It was a Dark Ages game, and let's just say that she may or may not have had something to do with their fall. I mean, she regrets it a lot.
It was you who threw the elders into Loch Ness and let the monster eat them.
It was
I
funny.
didn't mean to.
It was
you
funny.
who did that.
Don't bloody lie, it was funny.
It's Courage's mom getting therapy and Courage Kelly dog. Oh, she was a
No,
cruel
what happened
woman.
was
She
that
treated all of us badly. She once threw a man into Loch Ness. The monster ate him.
Originally, she was a white howler kinfolk who fell in love with the Garu white howler. But then what happened was that she was kidnapped by Romans while the men were out hunting. And the only way for her to escape was for her sire, who appeared and said, "I'll let you live, but you have to come with me." And her sire basically lied to her and said that your husband's dead, they're not coming back. So she got embraced and went away. But when she found out that eventually years later, she found out that her husband was actually still alive. But when she went to go confront him, it was too late. She was a vampire and he was a werewolf. And he had already remarried and had kids. And she was devastated. And out of jealousy, she actually lured her into an unknown place out of spite. But that caused all of the White Howlers to basically follow afterward, and she feels extreme regret for that, because all she wanted was she was just extremely jealous, and she was stupid, and she hates herself for it. And ever since, she's just always looked after and had a soft spot for all of Garu and Lupine, and she doesn't want to kill them. Instead, she just looks after them.
It's actually a really beautiful story. That was very good.
It's a lot like Kyle's story with Cult, where your refusal to fully explain to your wife and child what you did as a devil hunter ended up leading your wife to become a young blood.
I mean, yeah, that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Is that, Colt told Catherine that he worked for the FBI, which is a half-truth. It is technically a federal agency, but the IAA is purely fighting supernatural threats. He felt that if he kept him in the dark, it could, it would not only keep his bond with his family strong, it wouldn't scare her away. And he felt he was strong enough to be able to keep his family safe. That was until he investigated the Anarchs, the connection with the Sethites. Ashley Sykes and Bruce Jackson had broken into his home while his family was away, turned him to a Gangrel, and then basically kidnapped him for 4 years, beat the shit out of him, and tortured him for 4 years until they felt as if they'd broken him. At which point, as soon as he got the chance to break away from the Anarchs, he wanted to go back and find his family to make things right.
And in her grief and misery, in trying to find you, she ended up becoming a young blood, and eventually got contracted into hunting you.
Damn.
And that was a fun
and it was
boss
actually,
fight.
I think, something that Sylvester did that made her not kill him.
Yeah, Sylvester had dominate, and put a bunch of points into dominate. That's why.
Yeah.
Cole was.
He also had a guy that could make new identities, so he gave her the card for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Vigo changed her face
won.
a little bit, so like they wouldn't recognize her anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I was fully prepared to. Cole, as a character, was fully prepared to let Catherine kill him and let the pain end.
This seems to be what happens when you get a Gangrel player character. You either get a story that's actually dramatic and interesting, or stupid and furry.
I mean, I knew that it wasn't gonna be. Look, if I got the furry game playing as Tyler and Werewolf, let's be real. But no, I mean, like, I think that was like just a good sort of tragic story for Cole to be a part of.
Let's get back on track with the Bloodlines.
Sorry, yeah.
Yep.
So
Tell us about it.
Actually, I have to get going. But with that, I actually do
Get
have to get
out of
going.
here, Dan. We'll bring
All
in Eden.
thank you very much
All
for
right.
joining us, Dan.
See you later.
Good night, sir.
Have a good
All
one.
right. Peace.
So, moving on, we have the Akunanasi. There we go. I got it that time. They are one of the legacies of Liban. They take their name from the African folklore of the wise spider. They're known for their great knowledge, their wise counsel, and apolitical nature. Of all the Liban, they are the least concerned with the jihad and also the least organized. The Akunanasi originated around about the Ghana region and then spread throughout pretty much all of Africa. They frequently travel the world in pursuit of knowledge, and they embrace anyone else who likewise pursues knowledge. And much like most Gangrel, they will gain more animalistic features the longer they live. They even have a unique version of the Protean discipline called a Bumwe, which I will talk about a little bit. It's practiced by the Akunanasi legacy of Liban and the mysterious Bonsam bloodline of Dark Ages. It utilizes vampires' close connection to and control over their own beasts, as well as the beasts' power for various purposes. So, typically, the Akunanase is not so fearful as it is for European vampires. They're less burdened by the knowledge of sin and are more receptive to the urges of the beast, demonstrating admirable control over it, a control that is learned through hard experience and communion in the wastes. A Bumwe is almost never taught to European Canaanites, and they usually have difficulty working with their beast in such a manner. The discipline's common use by Liban in the Dark Medieval period strongly suggests that it was the Akunanase or Bonsam who came to Europe. It's very similar to Protean, and it has beast-affecting powers of animalism, but it does actually sort of work as both, because the Akunanase have both a Bumwe and animalism. Like, just looking at the first 5, your Predator's Communion, you can learn the presence and relative strength of any beasts near you. You basically have beast radar. Level 2, you get Invoking the Predator, where you can grow a minor animal feature, and Taming the Beast, you get a bonus to physical actions by drawing on the beast. You get Unseen Hibernation, which is similar to Meld Earth. You have Whistling Up the Beast. You can unsettle a target and make it harder for it to resist frenzy. Power from Darkness is neat. You can focus the beast's power into specific parts of your body for various effects. And you have Predator's Transformation, which is, similar to animal form in Protean. So, honestly, a Bumwe is just overall a more superior version of Protean in my opinion.
Yeah, Protean, but better.
Yes, it is Protean, but
in
better.
Every way.
If you can, play in Akunanase, because a Bumwe is just better than Protean.
Play and make your next character who's Gangrel, a borer from South Africa, and he's a South African mercenary.
That'd be cool. I like that.
Like or a Rhodesian.
Then from there, we have the one we were talking about earlier with Genghis Khan, the Anda. They are the gangrel that existed amongst the Mongols during the Dark Ages, the progenitor of which was Dobrul the Brave. The Anda themselves believed they were the scions of Itugan, the earth goddess of the Mongolian region. When the divine family was attacked by Bandit Wankwe from the Xia dynasty, who desired Itugan, her favorite son Dobrul stood firm to defend her while everyone else, including her husband Tengri, the sky goddess, or the sky god, fled for their lives. Dobrul fought tooth and nail, but the insidious demons hurled a stone of fire from the sky to smite Dobrul, and convinced that her son had died in the battle, Itugan fled westward and was harassed by Wankwe the whole time. Dobrul managed to survive, but the curse of Wankwe had changed him, and he desired mortal blood instead of food, and detected that his blood wielded the power to create others like him, which his newly founded brood received stern warnings against treachery of the Wankwe. And during the Dark Ages, the Anda lived pretty openly amongst their extended families known as the Yasun, who often acted as the herd of the Anda Gangrel. In return for their blood and protection during the day, the Anda would protect the family from harm and use supernatural powers to the welfare of the family. They were locked in conflict with both the Wankwe and the Xiongren, native to Mongolia. But when the Khans rose to power, the Mongol tribes were all united, and Anda followed them. And they used it as a method to cripple the Wankwe, like the Black Tortoise Court and the harassing Canaanites in the west. And they diabolized many Western princes in Eastern Europe. Many Anda recounted that the blood was offered to the Khan, but Genghis had denied the offer. Anda supremacy continued up until the end of Kublai Khan's rule, which began their decline in the Yuan dynasty and was shattered during the Ming dynasty, when the Wankwe sacked Karakorum in 1360. The Wankwe had begun a program since the Bloodline, and by 1388, all of the Anda were destroyed. It is rumored that elder members of the Bloodline had merged with the Steppes and will reemerge during the dawn of the Sixth Age, as the final nights see the rise of Dobrul the Brave. Many Wankwe know that turning of the wheel may begin at that time. As far as the organization, on the night of a new moon, all Anda within a given radius will meet and discuss the movements of the Yansun and what kind of threats might require all of their attention. The eldest Anda is known as the Khan in these, meetings, and all others are expected to submit to their authority. Other than that, the Bloodline, due to its tribal and nomadic nature, typically was too splintered to have a fully organized union. However, any of the Anda that were more monstrous or depraved did not protect a tribe and lead solitary lives, feeding only as opportunity permitted. But they typically fell into torpor from hunger, and if any Anda still exists, it's likely one of these horrors who are buried somewhere in China. As far as the culture, they see themselves as spirit warriors free from mortal boundaries and concerns like food or rest. The relationships between the Anda relied heavily on Nuka, meaning pledges of loyalty to a vampire the Anda considered superior to themselves. So they have a very rigid caste as far as their generational power, much like the masquerade itself. Those Anda that had high standing in the Horde having the most influence due to their complex Nuka relationships all over the Bloodline. Many elder Anda don't follow the path of humanity. They either adopt the road of Yasa or the road of the Beast. Either way, as far as the embrace goes, within the Bloodline, embraces within the Bloodline were done after a great council of all Anda near the prospective candidate. And then after the embrace, the Anda have a series of rigorous tests to hone their survival skills and mastery over Protean in order to meld with the earth. Those who pass the test are regarded as blood brothers of the line and are free to do their own meddling. Most Anda, however, remained in contact with the council that first commissioned the embrace. So they're very these were most present during the Dark Ages, but were a very well-established clan or bloodline of Gangrel because of their tight-knit nature with the Yunsan. It was honestly an excellent survival instinct on their part, the fact that they had the Yunsan to basically safeguard them and have this mutual symbiotic relationship with their kindred. I thought that was really neat how that was structured. However, the just overall splintered nature of them due to the nature of the Chinese nation and Eurasian steppe sort of meant that their downfall was soon to come after the Wan Kuei had recovered after the fall of the Khanate.
Yeah, all good things got to come to an end, right?
It seems they do, but it seemed like at the time they actually had like a pretty good thing going.
Because really this sounds like my kind of crowd, like a genuinely nice vampire.
Yeah.
And from a Geru perspective.
Yeah, they just protect their family in exchange for blood and a safe place to rest.
Exactly. And along with that, the Mongol connection, I see no reason why the Shadow Lords wouldn't have an issue with them.
The Shadow Lords would have loved them if they'd survived past the Middle Ages.
Exactly, because Togrul was directly involved in Genghis Khan's story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sucks to suck, right?
A little bit. Moving on from that, we have... What's up?
Who's next?
Yeah, we have the Lianan. The Lianan are a highly territorial...
I get... Let me guess what part of the world they're from.
Oh, I fucking wonder. Very territorial, matriarchal, and druidic Cainite bloodline that existed in the Dark Ages. They're believed to have been an offshoot by Clan Gangrel, but they themselves don't believe that they are Cainites at all. They believe they were made by Crone, who is the same Crone mentioned in the Book of Nod. The Lianan have a unique connection to the spiritual world. And they themselves have their own... they actually have presence as one of their base disciplines, as well as a unique version of Protean called Ogam. What Ogam can do is that... Or Agam is how it's pronounced. It's only found in the Lianan bloodline. They do not share its secrets with those who do not suffer from their line's curse. The Lianan share a splinter of a dark, once vast and powerful forest spirit. The Agam allows them to tap into the spirit's power, commune, and into its communion with free spirits of its ilk. It is a limited form of blood magic. It's not as flexible nor as powerful as thaumaturgy, nor as other clans' blood sorcery, but within the bounds set in the Lianan's territorial nature, it is very powerful. An Agam is strongest within the home territory. More than 50 miles from their home territory, it will be difficult to use it. And this thing has some pretty neat abilities. You consecrate the grove, which you can awaken plant life in your territory to defend you. You have the Crimson Woad, where you can inscribe runes on yourself that give you control over the beast and add fury to your attacks. Inscribe the Curse, which allows you to write a rune of your enemy's name on your body, which curses them when they see that. That is fucking cool.
Kyle?
What's up?
Kyle.
What?
This is Verbena magic.
What?
These are spells that the Verbena have that you just described.
These are Verbena spells.
Yeah, it's like as in like word for word what you're saying. So
well, it's a good thing that they're all fucking dead, huh?
Yeah, you remember well, I think I showed you Lore by Night and he was talking about the True Bruja and said that was your first step in the mage. This is your other step in the mage, this bloodline here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
if you want to get ideas about it's like the play of Verbena.
Yes. Then you have Moon and Sun, so you can bind yourself to the spirit of the Moon and Sun. You can commune with Helios and Luna. Let me reiterate. As a Gangrel Lianan, you may bind yourself to the spirit of Helios and or Luna. You could get a fucking Garo auspice.
There's no downside to that.
There's
no downside to that at all.
Is fucking nuts. Further story.
You won't learn how to get there. Do you think Do you think Helios would be willing to share his giant sun laser, and you get to kill all vampires' power?
That would be unbelievably busted. And then drink the earth dry. You can gain a temporary power from a site of mystical energy. You could basically just like, I'm going to use the power of the earth and put it into my body. So you get a whole bunch of fucking Vervaina blood magic based off of Celtic runes from Agam. Not only that, you also get presence as well. And we talked about how busted presence is in the Toreador video. As far as the Leonins' history itself, they are shrouded in mystery, though kindred outside the bloodline generally agree that they are descended from Gangrel. The first Leonin were created when Crone infused a woodland spirit into a vampire, much like how Bacchus did with Ragnar and Vigo. The spirit was said to be desperate, jealous being that could apparently see that people would eventually grow to destroy the forests and burn the trees. And they figured by joining them with a predator, then they could use them to dodge the fate of the spirit. Whether or not any of it is true, the Leonin did have a connection to the natural world that no other vampire could equal, not even other Gangrel. Most other vampires viewed the Leonin bloodline as just savages and didn't bother with them. The Gangrel hated them with every fucking fiber of their being, and they are very tight-lipped about why they hate them, but they speak of some great betrayal when referring to the Druids. Magda is possibly the eldest remaining Leonin in existence at that point, resided in Ireland and repelled many attempts on her own life by other Gangrel. However, during the Dark Ages, they dwindled increasingly in number. They found it harder to prey on humans who began to congregate in cities away from their woods. The bloodline was never especially numerous because whenever Leonin would sire somebody, a part of the woodland spirit that inhabited their elder body would be broken off in order to go into the neonate Leonin. And especially as the Christian church stamped out the old ways, Druids were unable to flee the wrath of the Inquisition. Because of the Leonin's otherworldly aura and obviously pagan rituals, they would easily be hunted and killed. It was the time of the War of Princes. It was thought that perhaps only 20 Leonin remained in all Europe, and none were believed to have survived past the 14th century. In modern times, the Gangrel trade rumors of powerful kindred in the European forests with bloody symbols, and perhaps maybe some have survived or the forest spirits have resurfaced. As far as, and like I said, in the form of their discipline Agam, this connection gave them inhuman aurora, even to humans, and Auspex would pick it up no problem. They were also bound to a specific land that they were sired on. They could not leave chosen woodland territories without becoming weak, and their powers and abilities reducing in strength for every week that they're gone. Yeah. But once they returned, they regained their strength in only a couple of hours. And also, like I said, Leonin weaken themselves by siring. When they embrace a child, the spirit inside the sire breaks off a piece of itself to make a new spirit and pass it into the vampire. So both would end up with the power of half of a spirit, and every Leonin that is destroyed, a piece of the power disappears forever. They were highly solitary in nature, always bound to their territories. Occasionally, a small brood of younger Leonin would share territory because they would be weaker and figure they would need the strength in numbers to protect their home. Leonin generally are aware of members of their bloodline whose territories are next to each other, but there was no system of communication, which probably led to their eventual destruction. But most Leonin would have a wary truce with one another, and they would allow other members to travel through their territory if they needed to. As for the culture of it, they would follow a variation of pagan and druidic practices, and they were very, very closely tied to their personal territory, as we said, within their clan weakness. If they went into the city or if they left their territory for a few days, they would become violently ill. They made chiminage to the local spirits to keep themselves strong, mostly in the form of blood sacrifices. The bloodline itself had few enemies outside human civilization, and then through Christianity, the Gangrel were noted for often attacking Leonin on sight. Most other Cainites left them alone. They were matriarchal, and nearly all of their numbers were female. This was because of their belief that, descending from crone, all females tend to be perceived as being close to the Dark Mother, as it were. With their numbers so small and being weakened by their siring, they rarely ever embraced anybody. Druids only created childhood out of sheer loneliness or when they found somebody who was impressive. Pagan spirit speakers with a real devotion to the craft or woodsmen with respect for the forests might get their attention, but they refuse to embrace anyone of Abrahamic religion. Once a Leonin embraces a child, they keep the new vampire around for a few years until they're ready to fend for themselves, and the novelty of having someone else around wear off, at which point the child would be sent away to find their own haven. Typically, they're made in forests, constructing simple dwellings or finding natural shelter, or they would find a man-made haven and kill or enslave the inhabitants, or very rarely eke out an existence on the very edge of human civilization as being a shaman or a wise woman.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty much
so basically the verbena.
Yeah, they're just the verbena.
Yeah, so behold, we don't need to do a verbena episode anymore. We just covered them.
Yep, we just covered it. Right. They're the Liana.
We just covered them.
GG, Brandy.
Exactly.
We got one more that we got to talk about, the Ennoiad. The Ennoiad are kind of neat. They're a Gangrel bloodline from Finland during the Dark Ages. They're depicted as a sort of alien bloodline that might represent the first Cainite presence on the continent of Europe. They do suffer from a variation of the Gangrel curse that makes them unable to gain sustenance from animals. Neat thing about them, though, is that they actually have auspex as one of their starting disciplines.
Oh, we're cooking with gas now.
Yeah. So the origin of the Noiads has been mostly forgotten by Cainites and mortals, and in the mind of the Noiads, they always dwelt in the north and guided and protected the Sami tribes in northern Scandinavia. As they were extremely dependent on their mortal herds, much like the Andan, or the Enda, the Noiads viciously denied any changes in their society and drove them further and further northward to escape the Viking cultures in Scandinavia. And in doing so, the Noiads actually harmed their herds a lot more than they helped them, trying to avoid the Vikings. And many tribes died as a result, and the Bloodlines' extinction were all but concluded. And they stranded themselves in the completely isolated wilderness without anyone to feed off of. And it's unknown if any of the Bloodlines survived up until the 15th century. The Noiad usually saw one another when they came to witness what's called the Gavas, or the Gyovasas, or the Northern Lights. They usually gave this an opportunity. They believed that the Northern Lights were a sign from the gods telling them what they needed to do, and they were all told the same things. The Noiad also used animals, either ghoul or those controlled by animalism, to keep in some sort of contact with each other. They believed themselves as divine beings sent by the gods to protect their chosen people from supernatural and mundane threats, as well as interpret the omens of the gods in the Govasas. The relationship between the Noiads and their tribe was symbiotic, again, much like the Anda. The Ennoia would protect the tribe from enemies, act as a guide, a shaman, while the tribe would willingly give their blood and shelter to the Ennoia during the long months with no darkness. In times of famine, the Ennoia would ghoul members of the tribe to ensure their survival. As for the embrace itself, the Ennoia dwelled openly amongst the Sami. All the Sami knew that they were Gangrel, and they embraced exclusively from the Sami population. Those selected for the embrace tended to be those with a talent for divination, as well as dream interpretation, star interpretation. They also watched over the children in these families that included at least one kindred, and they would look for those specific traits. They didn't really concern themselves with physicality, not only because Sami were not physically capable of surviving in the harsh climates and didn't really live long enough to be considered for the embrace anyway, but because of the Noiads' place in the Sami tribes as their dream interpreters and their shamans. Another bloodline died out because they ran away from everybody.
Right. So it goes to show that being an isolationist werewolf, pretty beneficial to everybody except for the vampire.
Yes. As much...
If you stay away from... Stay there for too long. Too long, you're eventually going to starve to death.
As much as I hate dealing with other vampires, you do need other people at the very least.
Yeah.
Now, out of all those bloodlines, which one did you like the most of those guys?
I quite like the Onda. I like the symbiosis of it. It seemed somewhat sustainable. I just like the idea that it's still like a little fucked that you're basically hurting humans, but at the same time, you're not trying to kill them. You're not taking advantage of them. You are actively working to help them.
You're a vampire. You're going to hurt the humans anyway, no matter what you do.
Yes, but even still, like
it's unavoidable.
At the very least, the Onda are trying to be good to them. They are there to protect them. They're there to act as spiritual guiders. Same thing with the Ennoia, but the Ennoia were dumb and isolated themselves and let all their kindred die out before they could actually, repopulate and shit because they're dumb. But I personally like the Onda the most, and had it not been for the Wan Kuei, they probably would have still been here today.
Ryan, what about you?
I think I'd have to go to the same one.
Let's see, Yonda, for the same reasons, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Now,
and then we get to sit around and throat sing all day, which is kind of cool.
From a villain perspective, the Lianon, for me.
Yeah, the Lianon would be like especially like if we were to do a Dark Ages campaign and you were just like out in the woods alone at night and you just have a Lianon out there, you happen across their territory and then they fucking rip you apart.
Exactly. This is a quintessential witch villain they'd be going up against. Along with all the stuff that you do with Ogham. I mean, the Verbena and vampires have a lot more in common than the Verbena would like to admit.
Yeah,
in terms of how the powers work.
That's going to be hard to explain.
So, yeah, really, I already gave you an idea as to what the Verbena are like. With us talking about them. All right. And, Eden posted a fun little picture. Oh, speaking of which, I forgot. I've been sitting on a photo.
Have you?
Now half this up when we're talking about mixing splats. That's how we're going to end it for tonight. We're going to mix splats.
Oh, the one that Eden posted?
See. Yeah, but also put this picture up. No context.
What the hell is that?
It's a werewolf holding giving a vampire a tender little embrace, right?
It looks like it decapitated the poor guy.
Yeah, it does look like it.
You see a little bit of hair. It's like the werewolf looking down saying, "Oh, you think I have a nice chest? Here, get a closer look."
And then he suffocates him. Death by suffocation, werewolf titties. That's new.
What a sexy way to die. Alright, let's make some splats. Well, basically any werewolf tribe.
I said that I was going to write a story or like an alternate story where Colt's family is actually killed by the Sethites, and then Ragnar has to teach him how to embrace his new unlife. In that setting, I could see my way into Colt finding his way to South America and becoming a mercenary for the Gangrel. Or becoming a mercenary for the Garo down there.
Now, I think the only tribe that would say no to them would be the Red Talons, because, yeah, anything humans gotta go.
They look like humans.
See, that's also got me thinking. A Silent Strider Gangrel combination. That would be a little complicated, wouldn't it?
It would be a little bit, but I feel like if you got a Gangrel to kill a Sethite in front of him, I think they'd probably work pretty well together.
Because after all, you gotta make sure he hates the Sethites just as much as you do.
Well, I mean, the Sethites are scumbags, so
And let's see here. Mage the Ascension. Okay, let's get the verbena out of my mouth for a minute.
Yes.
What other mage traditions can we think about? The Akashic Brotherhood. Have you got any ideas?
Teach a gangrel how to do kung fu.
It's really true that no kung fu. Imagine them. Now that I'm thinking about the Stargazers, them learning Kylindo the best they can, but mixing it with Protean.
Oh, dude, that'd be fucking vicious.
That'll be fun to see the kind of martial arts you can get with them turn into a bird. Get the literal crane style Kinpo.
Yep.
And
oh yeah, right. That's good. Oh, he likes it.
And in terms of thinking about how to get the Akashics in, I'm drawing a blank. I'm pretty sure it's a connection, but I'm just missing it.
I can't think of anything.
Celestial Chorus. Well, the Celestial Chorus wants to kill you. It's not going to work.
Yeah, no.
See, Cult of Ecstasy. We're mixing splats. Eden, hello. Came in for the very end.
Hello.
The Gangrel and the Cult of Ecstasy, I'm not seeing a relationship with that either. Same with the Thanatos. The Dream Speakers were kind of pushing it.
Yeah, the only thing I could see the Cult of Ecstasy doing is Freya meeting Colt, her reading his mind and going, "You don't have to keep being a gangrel."
You run up to the Gangrel and you ask, "Can I please harvest your blood for the for the blood cocaine?"
No. I'm going to say no.
You get so high you never come down. Well, yeah, that's their version of Ascension. That's exactly what they want. Yeah, they would go to you for that.
If I do that, can you revert me back about 8 years?
Send you back in time before your embrace.
Yes, please.
You're a Star Paradox. And think. The Dream Speakers, if you're talking about groups like the Onda or the more ethnic kind of Gangrel, then yeah, I could see a connection there, but not too much of one, because I don't think the Dream Speakers really want to work with the Gangrel longer than they really have to for spell components or certain spells. Fighting the Worm, yeah, they'd be down for helping with that, but not longer than they really need to.
Yep, that is a temporary alliance at best.
See, the Hermetics, no. Same with the Sons of Ether and the Virtual Adepts. Oh yeah, so really not much to do with Mage.
Yeah, the Gangrel would have much more to do with a Garrow than they would with mages.
Well, how about Wraith?
Unless you were playing a... Sorry, good.
You got an idea?
Hello? Did I done-diddly died it again? I think I done-diddly died it again. Yes, I did.
All right.
Oh, no, okay, no, I didn't. My thing freaked out for a sec there.
No, Ed. That was Ed's microphone for a minute.
Oh, okay. Everybody went quiet, and I got concerned that I dropped again. But,
and the rates. So the rates.
I don't know. Like, I mean...
Going down the legions, think about which legion is which one. The Iron Legion, no. The Skeletal Legion, no. None of the legions would really work. I'm guessing that the Legion of Paupers would come in if, say, a Wraith died. If a man died out in the woods and didn't remember how he died, and had to go over and there's a Gangrel over here. He's been around for a while. Hey, do you know this person? Do you recognize his face? Do you know how he died?
Well, I will find out. Anyway, but I honestly feel like it'd be easier to mix the splats with Wraith if you were talking about the other bloodlines. Because, especially since the majority of them tend to be like spiritual shamans, like the Leonin or the Noyad. But either of them...
Yeah, especially the Noyad.
Especially the Noyad. They would be able to commune with the spirits because they have, because they have the have I forgotten them already?
The magic.
Yeah, because they have the mage powers. they would be able to
and
communicate.
Auspex, don't forget that.
Yes, especially with Auspex.
And who's next? Changeling.
Given I'll be in character first. Given that Gurney is deathly afraid of me, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah,
Which
given
makes
how
me feel
delicious the changing blood is.
Which makes me feel terrible because she's so nice.
Now that would be a fun game of cat and mouse. The Gangrel trying to get that fix the changing blood.
Yeah.
So delicious. Yeah, the ultimate hunter versus the most delicious of all blood.
Bugs Bunny, it'd be a Roadrunner fucking Roadrunner the Coyote cartoon at that point.
Yeah, it'd be the most bizarre.
That would be kind of fucking funny. Yeah.
And so yeah, basically every interaction you'd have with changelings would go the same.
Yeah,
Where,
pretty much.
Yeah, please let me eat you.
What's really funny is that the guy who I work with, who actually ran a changeling game for his friends, one of the first foes that they found was a Gangrel who was covered in banality, and they were trying to help. They were trying to fix him.
The world's most boring Gangrel.
Yes. Wait, me or who else?
How is he banal? He's out in the woods.
I don't know. I mean,
that would be a Ventru. That would be banal.
Yeah, I don't know if he's super. I haven't. I've tried to.
Well, this changing game. I'm going to set you on the right. I'll set you on the straight and narrow.
They were doing W20, so. Well, I mean,
that explains it.
Explains it. 20th anniversary isn't too bad, is it?
It's not too bad, but it's not too good either.
Yeah, that's fair.
And who's next? Hunter's Reckoning. Eden is trying his damnedest to speak, but it's just not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy.
With Hunter the Reckoning, thinking about this, I didn't go over it because every entry read out the same, but in first edition, the Gangrel just do not give a shit about hunters whatsoever. They say, Arcanum imbued United States government, go ahead, try to find us. Yep. We can merge with the soil. You're not going to find us.
It's like, oh, hey, that guy has a pretty big gun that shoots silver bullets. What if I just sink into the earth where he can't shoot me?
No, you can't find me, Copper.
Yep. Or, oh, he's chasing after me. What if I turn into a bird and fly away really fast?
Exactly. And we get to sing the song they sing you in Boy Scouts about the good morning birds.
I don't remember that. Granted, I wasn't a scout, so.
It's a song that's going, good morning, the little birdies say. Out comes the farmer, shotgun in hand. Bang, 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 no birds on my land. Down goes the birdie with one broken wing. Stomp, 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 stomp. Now no birdie sings.
Is that something you actually did in the scouts?
Yeah.
That's fucked.
It's a cheerful little song you get to sing in the morning.
It's okay. I remember when I was a kid, my bus driver sang a song about throwing rocks at baby ducks. It was really funny.
Fuck, I forgot about the technocracy. Yeah, let's bring those guys up now and think about it.
How about no? No, we're not going to.
Iteration X would have no interest in the caveman vampire, so never mind. Now, the New World Order. There's a connection here. I just gotta think about it.
I'm going to put a bullet in their heads. How about that?
It's the werewolf, the vampire that chooses to be ungovernable, versus the world's worst authoritarians.
Obviously, has to be put down.
Yes.
Hey, there he is. I heard that time.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
He's alive. But no, I will make it my mission to put a 7.62 through their heads.
And let's see here, the progenitors want to get their hands on as many vampires as possible to use them as test subjects to eventually find the cure to being a vampire.
Oh, I thought they were going to do something like try to make lifespan extending drugs out of their blood or something.
That's one of the key ingredients in that drug. And
well, you could extend your life by just becoming a ghoul. Downside of that is you're a ghoul now.
Now, you think like the Syndicate. How can we make money off the Gangrel?
I don't know. Ask the fucking progenitors. They seem to have gotten it figured out, haven't they?
Sorry, I was just thinking of something, but then I realized it would be better with a vampire with dominate.
Right. The Ventru. Oh yeah, absolutely. They'd love to partner up with the Syndicate.
No, I was thinking. Oh no, I have no idea. Animal Planet. Just have them for like documentaries. Like
you got
make
David
animals do
Attenborough
stuff.
narrating over the Gangrel.
Yep. Or the Gangrels are like making the animals do things directly in front of the cameras, so they don't have to like wander through the woods for like days to get a perfect shot.
Say, we need you to get this bird right in the right shot so we can do the narration.
I mean, quite literally, I wrote in the short story about Colt living up in Canada that he would use beckoning in order to get deer to just walk in front of his gun so he can just get the meat, get out, sell the bones, sell the skin, that's it.
See, better yet, Colt, why don't you become the deer for this scene? We'll just start, put the camera on you. That's what we'll do.
No. I've used Protean enough, I'd rather not use it too much.
You know, I could see the technocracy trying to do that tactic to change consensus reality on what animals do.
Hey,
Brilliant.
well, we changed consensus to make it look like the tiger is now a herbivore. It now eats leaves instead of people.
And you use a gangrel to force tigers to do that on camera, and then you broadcast it around the world.
See,
Yes,
I'll just go up
eat
and
the
approach this
fake
tiger in
meat.
nature. It won't eat me. It won't eat me. It just eats plants.
That'd be really funny,
True.
actually. Like,
He's an idiot. He got what was coming to him.
I'm going to be honest. I hate them, but at the same time, that would be very funny.
And let's see. I'm drawing a blank on Void Engineers.
No.
One thing real quick. Do you think the technocracy would try to see if animalism worked on Garu?
Yes.
They would. Let's
So
inject,
the presenters will
let's
try
inject his raw vitae into his veins and see if that works.
We will create the werewolf tranquilizer using gangrel blood.
That's a scary thought.
A fun little thing to do. Put that in your blowgun and shoot it.
Yep.
And
Don't tempt me.
and let's see. One more splat, Demon to Fallen. Now, between the 5 factions of demons, Cult, which one do you think you'd lean the closest towards?
Initially, I thought the Luciferians because they quite like humans, and then I realized that the Luciferians know better than fucking governments.
See, it's that
You love
yeah,
humanity
like you said,
so much that you'd rather rid it of everything that makes it unique. Matter of fact, I'm quite incensed by that.
it really is the same thing we just said with the New World Order and the Gangrel. There would be no peace between the two.
Is there a type of demon that focuses on like rage and stuff? That might
Rage?
use the gangrel?
Faustian?
Well, you know, like their beast.
I don't know about the
They
Faustians.
a lot.
Yeah, the Faustian. You get your beast under control with this pact.
Yep.
Sign a contract with you.
How high's my humanity right now? No, I think I'm alright.
See, we can automatically get to 10 if you sell us what little soul you have.
No, I've spent this long getting it back. I'm gonna keep what I've got.
See, you get a raised upon death. It's not like you're going to go to heaven or anything.
Well, yeah, but as long as I can live forever, I'm gonna look after my family as long as I can. So,
So you've got nothing to lose. Just go ahead and sign the contract.
What is
Just
it?
sign on the dotted line.
What is it with you and fucking contracts?
Yeah, but well, it's the Faustian. What else are they going to do?
I don't know. Contract somebody the fuck out.
Let's see who else. Cryptic. We get to use the Gangrel to find out more about Lilith. What's her deal?
That actually would be an interesting story, especially if they were, what were they called? Yeah, the Akunas. I got it earlier. How did I fuck it up now? Akunanse.
Yeah. Yes, the African gangrel.
Yes. Yes. Good lord.
You will lead us to the original.
Yeah, basically that would be the cryptics you would send to them.
And who else is there? The Redeemers. Given that the Gangrel don't involve themselves in human shit, they wouldn't have much to do with the Redeemers.
Probably not.
The Ravengers, on the other hand, well, the Gangrel just want to be left alone, and all of a sudden the Ravager is just destroying the forest that they were involved in. And
did I drop out again? Son of a bitch. Hang on.
Going around tearing down the entire forest.
Yeah, I dropped out again randomly, but yeah.
You have to go through and have to deal with this demon just destroying your forest.
Yeah,
Did you ever see The Last Unicorn?
I don't think I did.
No. It's like the Red Bull monster in that movie with the Ravengers. It just destroys for the sake of destruction and doesn't think about what it's doing.
Yeah, like when I'm thinking about the demon showing up and all the Gangrel just jump out of the soil like this. Just jump out like.
That's it. Time to deal with this devil.
Yep, basically. That's it.
Now
she's going down.
Now I think that's it. I think that's a wrap.
Yep. So the Gangrel.
You guys already did werewolves then?
Yeah, we that werewolves were a good chunk of the episode.
Actually, yes. In short,
yeah, there is
the Gangrel.
A big alliance between the two.
Leave us the fuck alone. We don't care. We want to hang out in the woods, and that's that. Leave us the fuck alone.
Richmond, north of Richmond, starts intensifying in the background.
Yes.
Honestly, I just feel like Gangrel will just take a Garu as a ghoul as a trophy.
Good fucking luck, man. You do what you like.
Oh, that's evil. So you do what you like. You kidnap whoever you want. You torment whoever you want.
Yeah, just don't do it on my lawn.
You ruin the life of whoever you want. Here.
Again, just keep it off of my lawn.
Yeah. You sound more and more like a crutchy old retiree every day.
Yeah, it's quite nice, actually. I like it. It's everything I hoped retirement would be.
Colt, all you do is sit and you watch TV, you watch football and basketball and racing, and that's all you do now.
Well, no, I go out hunting. And, well, mostly hunting.
You drink that man's blood out of a beer can.
Well, no, I respect beer too much for that. That's why I investigated Jeremy King back in the early 2000s.
See, just the way you're like talking with Colt, I'm just imagining him come out to his porch in a pair of in a t-shirt, a pair of shorts, and like sandals with the socks, with just a beer can in his hand, asking, "Can you please get off his lawn?"
I mean, Colt would do that if I'm being perfectly honest. Like he's sitting out on the front porch with a fat stove and a can of beer, and he's just enjoying the nice brisk Canadian evening. All of a sudden, a fucking Wendigo's standing in his driveway, and he pulls out the cigar and goes, "I'm sorry, this is private property, mate." At which point, a puts him into torpor.
Exactly.
I was having a lovely evening until now.
I have a barbecue I need to attend later. Can we do this some other time?
Yeah, my mate's having a grill out. Do you mind if you fuck off? I'm going to pay you $5 to fuck off.
You finally get to try out that pepper sauce he's been keeping for me for so long.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. We're out of stuff to talk about. Get out of here.
Yeah, play the Gangrel. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night,
for the right reason this time. Quit being a furry.